good, huh? What you guys think of the program so far? Is it a good program?
Yes.
Help clear up some of the mystery?
Yeah.
And what about those agents we've been featuring?
Yeah, they're awesome.
Are they awesome?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think you had to do a whole lot to prepare for today, did you? Okay, let's get started here. We do have some people at home. Let's talk about your daily 10-4s. How you guys doing with those? Let's just put them, your daily 10-4. So we have to keep track of what? What are we keeping track of?
Connections.
Connections. And what else?
And contact.
Connects.
And contacts. And what else?
Notes.
And cards.
Huh?
Notes.
Notes.
Notes. Uh-huh. What else?
Preview.
Noses.
What about adding to your database? Right?
Yeah.
House preview.
And preview homes. Okay, so connects, contacts, connections. How are we doing with this? Are we getting the main focus is to get you in the habit of tracking? Do we understand why we track our numbers? Do we? We have a good focus. Why is it so important, Nathan, that we track our connections, our contacts, notes, and so forth?
Because if we can see what's working for us, what's not working for us, if the time we're putting in is actually valuable, or if it's just kind of we're wasting our time.
Exactly. Exactly. Think about that. I just got back from a training, and I apologize to those of you who did show for scripts and dialogue. I totally forgot I had a training up in San Clemente that day. One of the things I found out, how many hours do you think, this is a little off topic but related, how many hours do you think you put in, man hours, typically on one listing? How many hours do you think?
To get the listing or once you've got
It would be from the time you got the lead to the time you closed.
40,
Close.
37.
50. 50 on average. Now, some transactions take much longer and some shorter, but NAR has discovered it's about 50 hours. So you can now discover what your average hourly rate of pay is. Take your commission check that you just got. Divide that by 50. What's your hourly rate of pay? You got your phone? I think they'd be interested to see, right? You were working with a buyer though, right?
Yeah.
A little bit more time.
Okay.
I'd say a buyer typically is going to take a bit more time. Maybe about 20, 25, depends. But we do know from, if it were a listing, take your gross divided by 50, what's your hourly rate of pay?
225.
$225 an hour, not a bad day. I want you to see your value, your worth. Some of you are selling yourselves way too short. And you're giving your money away without a question, not being good business owners and thinking in terms of what you can do. So I thought I'd just share that with you so you kind of get an idea of what your hourly rate of pay would be, just in general, just on a listing, right? And that would be if you're doing everything, Scott. Think about in terms of the TC department, right? They're actually picking up a load. You're paying them a fee. The fee was
$395.
$395, right? So if you take that away, they're really doing about what percentage do you think? About 30, 40% on a listing? Once you take that away, then divide the number by 10 or 20 hours, and then see what your rate of pay is. Goes up significantly, doesn't it? Because you've leveraged that portion of the transaction out, right? Just trying to get you guys thinking like business owners, right? Make sure you do sign in. If we don't get you signed in, we can't credit you, excuse me. We can't get you, our records will be imperfect. Okay? All right, let's talk about our daily 10-4s. How are we doing? Connections. Let's go with who would like to say connections. Who wants to be first on their 10-4? Anybody? Yeah, Scott, what did you get?
For today, or?
Well, on your mission, yes, your mission this week. This week, or however, how are you keeping track? Just one day, or are you doing it by week?
Well, I basically, usually since the last class.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so today I made calls for an hour and a half. I had 13 connections. I got 2 people added to my database.
You got 13 people in
I
your,
made 13 connections and added 2 to the database.
so you had 13 connections, and then you added 2 to your database, right? And then, what about notes or preview, any?
Not today, no.
Okay, what about for the week on previewing, how many homes so far?
Last week it was probably like 3.
Like 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Who else? Rebecca, how you doing?
So since last Friday, since Saturday, Sunday, I talked to 21 people.
21 connections?
Yeah.
Good girl.
And then have 5 contacts.
So you added 5 to your database. Did you write any notes?
No,
Did you preview?
2 houses.
Just 2. Interesting. You guys want to sell houses but don't have time to go look at them. I find that most interesting. Who else? Who else we got going here? Gary, you want to go?
Sure.
What you got going?
So we're gonna say 17 connections,
Okay,
and there was 9 added to the database
good,
from last Friday.
good.
And then I not written my notes yet.
Not a single note. You guys are some poor note writing people. Go ahead.
The homes is also 0.
0. Okay. And who would like to go next? Yes, James.
Connections, co.
How many?
Co.
12?
Yeah.
Good. How many contacts did you add to your database?
2.
2. Okay.
Notes 1.
Notes 1. Did you preview any homes?
use 2.
You previewed 2? Very good. Okay. Who else do we have? Well, we pretty much wiped out this side of the room, so now we painfully go over here. Richard, what you got going?
10, 2, 0, 2.
You got 10, 2, 0, 2.
And I held 2 open houses. So, and I only got 2 good solid leads. So those are the 2 contacts.
Those
But
are your 2
I
contacts.
didn't
You
get
got
their
to
address, so that's why I didn't know notes. But I did send them an email, and I'm going to call them actually today, right during our calling,
Okay. Got it.
trying to get a buyer consultation.
Okay. Got it. You're going to try or are you going to do it?
Going to do it.
There we go. There we go. Watch our language. Either you do or you don't. It's all about your mindset, right? Okay. We got Richard up. Who's up next? Yes, ma'am.
I got 6, 4, 0.
6, 4, 0.
But I get 1 open house.
Well, there's nothing open house about that. What about preview? No previews. Boy, you guys really surprised me with that. Who's up next? Aren't you in the class?
Lori?
Yeah.
10, 10, 0, 0.
10, 10, 0, 0. Okay. Ada? What you got? Nothing? So this was all entertainment. Why are you guys here if you're not gonna apply what you're doing? Let me ask you a question. Are you committed to real estate or are you just interested in it?
Committed.
Comment.
Well, your actions don't show commitment. It's one thing to say one thing, but to really embrace and go for it is another. Right?
Right.
There's no reason why you guys shouldn't have had more success than what you had. All you had to do was apply the principles, developing the good habits, talking to people. That's your job. Just talking. And at $2.25 an hour, or if you kind of double that up at $4.25 an hour, that's not a bad gig. Nathan, do you have any numbers?
I know I attended 2 funerals last week, and so I didn't do business stuff. I added a connection, like, from that, but it wasn't like
At the funeral, you added
well,
a
no, it was
connection.
afterwards. It was
That's
somebody
okay,
there,
it
but
doesn't
was like-
matter. I don't care
Yeah.
if you were graveside, if you were talking real
No,
estate,
yeah, I mean,
guess
it was
what?
one of those, like, I didn't want to, like, push, because it wasn't place, but,
Yes, there's a time and place for everything. I totally agree with
yeah,
that.
so I didn't get much of, I got that one,
2
and then,
funerals in 1 week.
yeah, it was not a good week last week, but I did see a house in Mesa when I was over there, I didn't see one open house.
You did see one
Yeah, I
open
did
house.
see one.
Okay, all right. Kind of give you a bzzz on you.
Alright.
Okay, because a 2 funeral is quite a bit. Okay. Well, I certainly thought you guys would be along much, much better in taking a commitment to your own job. How many of you work for other people, other employers?
Hour and about.
In the past? All of you have. Did you show up to work on time? Are you showing up for yourself on time? On this career? You'll do what somebody else tells you to do, right? Build their company, but you won't spend the time to build your own company? I'm a little confused. You have the direct power to make the difference in your lives. I want you to live the big lives. I think you guys are thinking way too small. Maybe you're hanging out with small-minded people. Could that be part of it? You went to a conference. I saw that on Facebook. Les Brown. My mind. He'll get you motivated and fired up. His life story is off the charts fascinating. Someone who couldn't graduate from high school was labeled retarded and is a huge success. You guys know who is it Les Brown?
Leslie Brown. Yeah.
Leslie Brown.
Leslie
You guys know who Leslie Brown is? Motivational speaker. Phenomenal guy. He's one of the top in the league. You went to one of his conventions, I saw. Labeled retarded. He's not accepted in colleges, and here he is, he kept the dream. He would not take no for an answer. Well, he did up to a point all his life. They labeled him retarded, he thought he was retarded, right? And then he ran across somebody who said, why are you accepting what other people tell you who you are? My question is, what are you telling yourselves? Are you thinking big enough? Or are you thinking small and getting small results? Questionable. Okay, all right. Any ahas from yesterday's or the Friday before you had some, your mission? Any ahas from that? No?
Sorry, what was the question?
Question was, on Friday, you always get a mission, right, for the next day.
Yeah.
So, and then you always go through your little list, right? So what, as you went through your mission list, were there any ahas? Anything?
Gary had one.
I'm sorry?
I have one.
Okay, go for it. What did you get?
so this might be far out, but
Go for it.
the same thing for number 3 with like pearls of wisdom, interview up to 5 successful agents.
Uh-huh.
That was a big aha for me because what I plan to do is kick off my YouTube channel where I'm actually providing value to my clients through the interviews that I'm actually going to set up and do. So just short interviews on like 1031 or how to, different tax advantages or different stories of other clients. And then I'm going to broadcast that to basically my database.
I have a proposal. I think what you're doing is great. Think of one subject and ask them just one question and see how many different answers you get. What made you successful? And what activities? Or you've been in the business how long? When did you, what was the turning point for you? Or what happened in your life? You know what I'm saying? Or what is your big why? Just one question, Gary, and see the 5 different agents' answers. You know what I'm saying? You could do informational 1031 or whatever and broadcast that out, but maybe offline for your own evolution. Maybe ask them, I want just off camera, what's your big why? Or you put it on camera. Just one question and ask each 5 the same question. Have any of you spoken to any of the 5 agents? Had a conversation? No? Why not begin with some of the agents that were in here? They volunteered their time to come before you. I think that would be a good resource, right? Any other ahas on what you saw on the mission? Nothing? You got it all smooth. You got it all under control, right? Okay. All right. I'm gonna do it a little bit different. We are, first of all, I do want to take you to the back of the session 12. You will see there are more scripts. I have it in my book on page 29 of 12, chapter 12. It says script off. You see that? Here's all the different scripts. Download the mobile app, ask for a referral. Hello, I'm brand new to real estate. I have a FSBO. They even have seller objection. We need an agent with more experience. Determine the list price with your sellers, pricing objections, working with buyers. Your buyer wants the seller to make non-essential repairs. Recommend that your client counter offer. I mean, my goodness, look at all these different scripts. They will work basically for any of these given situations. I just wanted to bring your attention to it. We're not going to go over it, but that's one of the things that I do want to point out are these scripts. And again, for those of you who are regulars in the script class on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to move into the buyers after we kind of wrap up with the sellers portion of it, of going over the contracts and how we explain the listing contracts, right? And the disclosures that they're signing, right? And then we're going to move into the buyers, okay? So with regards to, right now, I'm going to do something a little different, and I'm actually going to, I wanted to show you that, and then I want to show you the little 3-minute video, if I can get there somehow, some way, please. And see if we can't play that. Now, I tried to get the power up before you guys got here, but unfortunately, it's about as loud as it gets. So, a day in the life of a mega agent.
Hi, I'm Linda McKissick, and I'm going to talk to you about an ideal day in the life of a mega agent. First thing in the morning, I have to start with getting up and getting my head right. What I've discovered is if I get my head there, my body will show up. So that typically means getting up in the morning, always exercising, getting the blood flowing. And second, reading something either spiritual or motivational, or listening to an audio tape of Jim Rohn happens to be my favorite, so he's always in one of my CD players somewhere so that I can plug him in easily. People that are inspirational, because I think all of us need hope every day to go do what we have to do. As we get to the office, the most important thing is, because every business is a lead generation business, is what does that lead generation look like? For me, because I'm at the 7th level, one of the most important things is what key people do I need to talk with that day? That always comes up first. Do they have what they need to succeed? And then the next thing is, who are the people we need to be doing business with? How have I communicated with them lately? What do I need to do now? Is it a phone call today? Is it a drip campaign? Is it an invitation to something? Looking for how do I communicate with those people that we want to do business with? And how do I keep furthering that relationship and moving it along? I've discovered my business energy is highest earliest in the morning, earliest in the day, and earliest in the week. So I front load my week, Monday being the most difficult day with all the contacts and all the lead generation that I need to do early in the morning. And that frees me up to have the afternoon to kind of just work on plans or projects. Typically what I find is through the week, Monday and Tuesday are heavier, and Wednesday, my Thursday and Friday is pretty more entrepreneurial of just off the cuff. And in the evening on Mondays or through the week is, it's always about family, because the reason we do what we do is so that we can build a great life and build great memories with our families. So our kids are very important to us. We're very involved. It's what are we going to do as a family? What do we need to do as a family? When's dinner? Where are we going to go? Or what are we going to eat? And that kind of rejuvenates me. One of my philosophies is the purpose of business is to fund life. Life is all about family. And as a mega agent, your life might, your day might look different. But the key thing we have to always remember is certain parts of our day have to look the same. So you might want to think about, where's my head? How can I get my head in the right place? And then we always want to remember that every business has to be lead generating. So what does your lead generation look like? Is it earliest in the morning? Is it earliest in the day? And then we always have to know that somewhere in the day we have to spend that quality time with family, because we don't want to run a business to lose. Thanks for watching KW Connect, and make it a great day.
I hope you guys could hear that. It was as loud as I could get it. Was there anything in this particular video that kind of sparked something in you? No?
Get your head in the game.
Get your head in the game. How do you get your head in the game? Do you have a game plan every day how to get your head straight and get it in the game, Richard?
I don't really, but
We all have morning routines, don't we?
Yes.
I've been thinking about starting to do my workout in the morning, because I feel like that.
Don't think about it.
She said get the blood.
Plan it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Get that blood going. How do you get your head in the game, Gary? Do you?
Yeah, I block it off from how do I get my head going?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the same exact thing that she said.
So
Except
you
that
get up and exercise?
the exercise, I get up and I have breakfast.
Good.
I exercise, after my day, so like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that I do. I take out the exercise, and then I plug it in after.
You plug it in at the end of the
Family
day.
time usually is.
Mm-hmm.
My family's the gym.
Okay. Got that. Anybody do anything to get their head in the game? And if you read inspirational works, philosophy, listen to music that's uplifting.
It's not really philosophy, mine's just, there's like a daily rundown thing that they do on LinkedIn, but I don't know, I just read it every morning to see what's going on, because it just talks about like what business people are talking about. So I'm like, it's my mind and the idea of like, all right, time to like learn some new stuff.
Okay. Well, besides learning, the doing part, what do you do to get yourself pumped up, to make the calls, knock on the doors, write the notes, do the email campaigns? Are you doing anything, if at all? Affirmations? No?
Yes.
Yeah? Are you consistent?
Yes.
Yes? Come over here. You've got to get your head in the game. You've got to get yourself ready for the day, people. And most of us don't do that. Most of us have the habit of eating breakfast, throwing on our clothes, whatever, getting the kids off to school, boom, we're here, right? you should take a few minutes, whether it's here or before you go out the door, to get your head in the game. For me, it's music, affirmation, journaling. So I do a whole hour's worth in the morning. And that includes some yoga stretching. I don't get the full workout, but I do get the stretching and the blood pumping. And I do on addition to that, I do a 20-minute morning walk with the dog. Real pumped. But the music, gotta get the music rocking for me, get my head in the game. I hear any kind of music gets me pumped up, I'm ready to go. I don't know how it affects you, but just some tips. Get in the habit of getting yourself together, right? There's something you've got to do. For instance, we're going to do this affirmation that's on page 8. Turn to page 8. And it says, I am comfortable making calls daily because I know I am helping people. Let's stand up, people, because the energy in here sucks. It just sucks. Okay, keep your shoulders going. Come on. Oh, yeah. Move those shoulders. Been holding tension in there. Get those shoulders going. Oh, yeah. Okay, on the count of 3, we're going to say a nice loud voice, speaking from the diaphragm. 1, 2, 3. I am comfortable making calls daily because I know I'm helping people. With more conviction, please. 1, 2, 3. I am comfortable making calls daily because I know I'm helping people. Let's raise the roof, please, so the people out there know you're actually in here doing work. Okay? 1, 2, 3. I am comfortable making calls daily because I know I'm helping people. Awesome. Get on the phone next 20 minutes and let's make our phone calls and help some people. For sure. Anybody get an appointment or a
I
lead?
called the 2 leads for my open house. They didn't answer, but I left messages.
Okay. When was your open house, may I ask?
Where?
When?
Oh, yes, I did Saturday and Sunday at the same house. It was Chris Melville's property in Escondido. Or not his property, it was. But anyway, Saturday was kind of a dud, but he asked me to do it again on Sunday, and I got 2 pretty solid leads. They didn't have agents, and they're both looking. So
I'm going to give you a suggestion. When you do those open houses, you need to follow up the same day.
I did. I emailed them that same night last night.
Okay.
And I said I'll call you on Monday.
Good. And you did as
And I
you
did.
promised.
And I did.
And just keep calling till they tell you, don't call me no more.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Every day.
literally had 1 lead out of an open house. I called every day for 3 weeks.
So every day.
I did. An
Okay.
email. Yeah.
For 3
And guess
weeks.
what? Yeah, for 3 weeks. And, oh, I'm so glad you've been calling me. I've been meaning to get back to you. Yes, we're still in the market. Yes.
So they didn't feel bombarded.
Listen, my attitude, I'm going to bug you until you tell me to stop. I'm here to help.
Yeah.
Nice.
Why would you stop on your own? The average agent's text mails, leaves a message and they're done. Where is the money?
On the follow-up.
75% of your money is laying up in the follow-up. Once you get that in your mind, you're not bothering people, you're just doing your job.
Well, I haven't had a deal yet, so I'm going to be calling them every day.
Oh, you got nothing else to lose, right? And if they're not ready, who do they know? You just never know. The conversation can continue on, right? I'm having dinner at a restaurant, and you know how the manager comes around, ocean view, blah, 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 blah. Struck up a conversation. Nobody would talk to him. I watched him go all the way around. Oh, yeah, we're fine, thank you. And they wanted to go in. Not finding time for me to have a conversation, and guess what? Someone in his family is looking for an agent. Just at having dinner. Got the contact and everything. You're losing opportunities, making yourself unavailable. So open yourselves up and don't take no for an answer. If they don't tell you no, why are you telling yourself no? Right? Why would you even go there? Any other success or however you define success? Did anybody get any new data? What'd you find, Gary?
I got a couple of open house opportunities for the week.
For the weekend?
No, for the week.
For the week, to
Yeah.
the week? Right. Don't just think you can do open houses during the weekends. Weekdays work well too.
I have a question on that, because what is in a 55 and up community, like right here in Rancho Bernardo? What are your thoughts on that? I'm open to experimenting.
I love the 55 plus because they got a lot of time on their hands. They know their neighbors. And they usually like to help people that are trying to do well. Yeah,
Awesome.
I think it's awesome.
Great.
Just remember that generation, what are they called? The baby boomer generation, what you need to think in terms of is maybe less electronics, a little bit more tactile with paperwork and showing of charts. I do that. Some are very, advanced. But in general speaking, I go in prepared, pretty much tactile, old-fashioned way. They have a different value system. Huh?
55 is like 90 now.
I'm sorry?
55 is not that old.
It isn't. It really isn't. But the 55 plus still tends to have respect for authority or people in positions and so forth as compared to Gen X or millennials, which some of you are.
Thank you.
Right? Just different values, set of value system, that's all. Any other yays, ahas, no's? None. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take you to page 9 where we were talking about get your head in the game. You've arrived to the final power session today, and so throughout all of Ignite, you've been performing or should be have been performing your daily 10-4 activities and tracking your numbers with your tracker and your CGI calculator, right? You should be time blocking your daily activities, anything that's working towards your goals. For those of you who have met with me one-on-one, remember I talked about the 411, right? Anybody not know what I'm talking about as far as the 411? No? Yes? No? On page 15, I'm just going to tell you to turn to page 15. What is the 411? Well, it stands for 4 weeks, 1 month, and 1 year. So at KW, we use the 411 as a productivity tool to really engage. What are your top priorities? What are your big rocks? What are your big rocks, Nathan?
My top priority.
What's your big rock?
Well,
Or rocks?
obviously lead generation.
Lead generation. How many says lead generation is their big rocks? Almost all of you. For me, some days, yeah, it's a big rock. But most days, I'm doing my affirmations. I'm getting my head in the game. I'm getting myself powered up for the day. Because we need to have things inspirational. We need things that lift us up, right? To keep going, right? So the 411 allows you to really define your goals by 1 year, breaking it down into 1 month, and then breaking that month down into 4 weeks. And because your activities will manifest into your overall results, your goals are set and effective and they're accountable. So really, I just want you to think in terms of what is your 411? And how do you make your environment support your focus? What kind of environment are you working in? That's a good question. What kind of environment are you working in that supports your focus? Anybody want to speak to that? Okay, Nathan, go.
Well, we're working, like, there's supposed to work in that little room over there.
That little room in there? Mhm.
Yeah, and it's like, it gets you wanting to do stuff because
you're
you see
around
everybody else around you doing stuff. Like, you
Yes.
see Scotland on the phone all day, just go move on. You're like, oh, man,
Yes.
let's do something.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
guys.
Put yourself in what I call that the new age energy pool in that little room. The energy has just been vibrating, right? Some of us work better alone. Some of us work better when we're around people who have the same types of goals and mindsets as we do, right? Do you know where you are? Do you work better by yourself? Or do you work around people when you catch the buzz, the energy around other people? If that's the case, then get around the people that give you that buzz. Because working in isolation for most people doesn't work. For most. Some can. So what kind of environment builds you up and supports you? You're the gatekeeper to your own environment, right? So what kind of physical environment would be conducive to making you more productive? Lori, what type of environment would make you more productive? If money's no object, and there are no limitations in life, what kind of environment would make you more productive? What do you think?
Setting.
A group setting. How many people?
Not many.
Be specific.
One.
Only one other person. So that's a small group. See, when I think group, I think 10, 12. So one other person. What else in your environment would make you more productive?
Like,
Your ideal productivity environment that would make you real productive. Somebody throw Lori a lifeline. What would make your environment more productive?
Eliminating distractions.
Eliminating distractions of what type? What are your distractions, Gary?
Like Facebook or social media. Also, sometimes like other people can be a distraction.
Yes. So let's talk about this. So how do you get away from this distraction?
Do not disturb mode.
Not disturb mode. What else?
Maybe set a time when you go on and do that stuff that doesn't generate revenue.
Exactly. I set an alarm for all my activities daily. I look at, okay, from this time to this time, that's my alarm set, so that I know I gotta stop, whether I'm finished or not. From this time to this time, I have to do this. I set my alarm. That's one of my tricks to keep me productive and focused. Does anybody else have tricks or little things that they do to keep them focused? What do you have?
Yeah, sometimes I work from home, so just making that in the house aware also that you need the time, this time block, so you know you don't, you can't be bothered.
So in your own home, you let them know? Who's that? Who are they?
Oh, my
Your mother-in-law. Okay, great. I had one mom, she had 3 little stair steps. So the way she did it, she made a real big sign, right, in a child's mode. And it said, "Mommy at work." Shh. So whenever she put her little sign up on her table, the kids come up and they knew they couldn't disturb her. Because she didn't have a dedicated office. But she had a dedicated space. So she made her kids keep herself accountable. If mommy makes X amount of calls today or knocks on so many doors, right? Then mommy will take you to whatever the little reward was. You know, I'll make ice cream sundaes or something like that. So there was always a reward for them. And then plus, she always said, when mommy's able to sell a house, you know, I'll buy you, you know, new pair of skates or whatever. So the kids were like, "Mommy, did you sell a house yet? Mommy, did you sell a house?" Kids are the best, keeping you accountable. Anything else to make your environment more conducive to productivity? Anybody got any little things that they do? What about putting up your vision board or your plan or just your goal for the day? I'm going to talk to 20 people today, or I'm going to talk to 10 people today, or I'm going to get 1 listing appointment this week. What about something like that? Does that help? Keeping your goals in front of you and keeping your numbers tracked. If you know you've got to make X amount of numbers, if you don't have that in front of you all the time, where's your mind go? Other places, right? Well, enough of that. We are honored. I am extremely happy to have one of highly productive agents with us. I've been wanting him for a long time. And I'm so happy he's with us. Ed today is one of the very top in here, and I'm so happy that he's going to join us and give us his presentation. So you guys please help me welcome Ed. You don't need anything, do you, Ed? You good? Keep asking you.
No.
Okay.
How are we doing today?
Yeah,
Is today your last class, last Ignite?
Yeah. There.
And you only have to keep learning for as long as you're in the business. So you're not done learning. So it looks like, I just went through this thing, right? What are you guys on? Blast off, right? Whatever number that is. So it looks like this is kind of like a lot of recap, a lot of, okay, now we're going to take and implement some of the stuff Tanya was just talking about, some of the stuff you've been learning over the last, what was this, in 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it was. So I'm going to go through some of what they have in here. I'll throw in a little spice of what I do. I thought, and they told me I'm going to go about an hour and a half. So if that sounds right to you guys, I'm going to try to, I'll go a little quick because I like to answer questions. I know when I was in your guys' shoes, I'm the guy who I had questions. I was the guy in grade school all the way up and asked questions. So if it's a question I think is really not going to help everybody, I'll just politely say, let's, catch me after class or whatever. But this year, you'll have other opportunities, but this is your last opportunity for a while probably to get some good insight if there's something you want to know. If there's not, there's no big deal. All right, so we're on page 13, right? It says make it happen. Page 13 of whatever blast off is. That sound right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what, and yours is probably all blank, so they were nice. They typed in on mine in red for me. So I'm going to tell you some of the stuff they're saying. We'll go through a couple things. So the simplest one is, and you guys, I know you had classes on this, on goal setting and making a plan and all that. So it says, how do you create a personal plan and make process your focus, right? So working your plan, basically. So what good old Keller Williams told us is follow a big plan built on a big model, make implementation your focus, aim high. There's a saying, aim high, and if you end up a little below, you're still doing good, right? So don't set your goal at like, well, I can probably sell 3 houses. I'll make my goal 3 houses, so I feel good for it. And Brian kept doing that until I kicked him in the butt one day and said, go sell 30 or 40 houses, right? But set your goals. Don't. There's a fine line there, right? Don't set your goals. Don't say, okay, it's my first year in the business, I'm going to go sell 100 houses. It's probably not going to happen, and then you're going to get disappointed. So set something to stretch, but not ridiculous. All right. Who can explain the daily 10-4? Who's really good at that? Somebody. There we go.
Explain it. So it's 10 people that you contact from your database, is a connection. 10 people that you add new to your database, those are contacts. And 10 notes, handwritten notes.
Okay.
And 10 homes previewed in 1 week. Everything, first 3 were daily, 10 homes weekly.
So that's a weekly goal. So you work on it daily, but the goal is 10 a day or 10 a week?
10 a day for the first 3 that I mentioned, and then 10 weekly homes.
Okay, good. Did you guys, how come no one else raised their hand? Didn't they teach us like a while ago? You guys are all shy. Okay, good job, thanks. Okay, so my little thing, and again, you've heard this in different, you'll learn in real estate. I just started my 30th year, okay? I'm not learning a whole lot different today than what I learned 30 years ago. The big difference is we didn't have classrooms and people teaching it. It took you like 8 years of stumbling and fumbling and screwing up to go, that's what I should be doing, right? So I definitely do recommend go to the seminars. There's some really good trainers out there now. When I got in, there was like 1 or 2 trainers, and now there's lots of trainers. So do that stuff, figure it out. But figure out what your goals are. What I look at my business as having pillars. Okay, so I look at, and a pillar might be door knocking for me. And that might be my database over here, and there might be my notes, which are kind of part of the database. But figure out whatever's going to work for you, right? What works for me might not work for you, right? Like Richard came to me the other day, and we talked for a good, 15, 20 minutes. He just came and said, can I pick your brain on some stuff? I said, sure. And he kind of heard my little spiel. But figure out what works for you, but you got to have a goal. I mean, just coming in here and hoping the phone rings and calling a couple people, you're going to get lucky every now and then, and your mom might decide to move and you get a sale and this happens and that happens. You're not going to make a career that way, okay? You're going to get a couple sales, you can make a couple bucks, but if you're trying to make a career, if you guys are in here taking these classes, I assume you're trying to make a career out of this thing. You got to sit down, you got to do some thinking, go bug other people. I mean, what's beautiful at Keller Williams, I've only been at one other company that was even close to that. Most people, I can't speak for everybody, most people, you can come and you can interrupt them. Now, maybe not in their lead gen, or maybe you have to schedule a time, right? But you can come and say, can I get 10 minutes of your time? And be ready to ask them good questions. Okay, what did you do? What do you think about this? I'm thinking of doing this. Is that good or bad? You know, just very specific stuff. And you'll get probably like lots and lots and lots of good advice that would take you years on your own. I mean, we laugh about that, but I'm dead serious. I didn't get any of that stuff for many, many years. And, trial and error takes a lot of time to do the trial. So figure out your pillars. To me, they're going to correspond with your goals, right? If you have a goal to sell 50 homes, well, then it needs to make sense. You can't go farm 100 homes, right? Because like half of them aren't going to move. So you have to think this thing out. Okay, how many, and they give you all kinds of worksheets of how many listings and figuring out the calculations. They got that in this section again too. I'm not going to spend my time on that, but they're going to figure out, okay, this is how many listings I got to carry, how many buyers I got to work with. And then from there, figure out your pillars, right? Does everyone understand what I'm saying by pillars, right? Yeah. Like the support you're going to base your career on, whatever it is. Some people do it. They're great at throwing parties and they have a big social network and they do that. And people love them and all that good stuff. It doesn't really matter. It matters if it works and then if you do it well. Okay. Don't say, oh, I love parties. I'm just going to throw parties. If you're not good at getting business out of it, that's, the goal is to get business out of it. At the end of the day, there's two things you got to have going for you. And Richard just heard this the other day, but people need to like you. Okay, the odds of them doing business with you if they don't like you is really, really slim. It happens, but it's really slim. And they got to think you're competent, right? So the social thing is you get people and you get them more endeared to you and all that, but you better show that you're competent, right? When they refer you a friend or you do a deal with them, you better don't think, oh, it's my friend. I see that all the time in this business. That's right. Tanya, how many times you heard that? Oh, I hired my friend. Oh my God, I can't even talk to him anymore. And the friend might be a really good agent, but they took the friendship a little loosely, right? Oh, it's my friend. I told him I'll get back to him Tuesday. Mary understands. I'll call her on Friday. You can't do that. You got to, quite frankly, it's probably put more pressure on yourself, right? Because you want that friend because you're going to be in the same social thing talking about you. So take advantage of that. Okay, so you're going to make your goals. You're going to make your pillars. And then what I do, and I was going to bring my example, I didn't feel like ripping it off my wall. I've got, and Gary Keller is the one who told me to do this via his book. He didn't call me directly.
Or anything?
What's that?
Do you want a marker or something?
No, I'll just like draw an imaginary thing with my hand.
Okay.
Here's a marker. So I just, I got the big calendar, you got three months across, whatever, going down 4. And I got January, February, March, right?
Gary Keller told you to do this?
What's that?
You said Gary Keller.
Gary Keller, it's in the red book.
Yeah.
He gives the example, I think it's in the red book, or maybe it's in one thing. But he gives the example, well, number one, he says calendar everything, right? So you're going to sit down, and this is the time of year you guys got to really think. You're new, I think, but no matter what, we're getting into the time of year where everyone's going to tell you, start figuring out your calendar for next year, October, November this year, right? Don't wait till the week of Christmas and go, okay, what am I going to do next year, right? Start thinking about it. If you haven't figured out your goals and your pillars, start thinking about it. Figure out if they make sense. Go do the research. What's the turnover if you're going to farm? What's this likelihood? Hey, go ask the people that socially farm. Hey, what kind of numbers do you really get? My numbers are not, they're woefully off from Gary Keller's numbers in the Red Book. I think the Red Book's written for someone in tiny little towns in Idaho where you can dominate a town. There's a lot of agents on here. It's extremely competitive. So your numbers, I think, your contacts to appointments to contracts numbers, I think you need a lot more contacts than he talks about in the book. Okay, so now my calendar. So now I figured out what my business is going to look like, right? I'm taking my pillars. I'm going to go, okay, gee, I'm going to farm. Okay, well, how often am I going to farm? Right, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? If I say something to you guys, what do you mean? I'm going to farm. Okay, am I going to go out every month? Am I going to every 3 months? Am I going to bring out scratch pads? Am I going to bring out postcards? Am I going to just smile at the door and hope they smile back? What am I going to do, right? Once you've got that figured out, and then you figure out vacations. Okay, you guys have to have a life. You're not doing this because you love. Don't give me that. I love real estate. You like real estate. You got to go fund a life, right? Gary Keller talks about that too. Gary Keller is awesome to listen to, but that's what most people are doing, right? You got kids, you got family, you got to put them through college, you got to feed yourselves. This is a job. You go to work, okay? And then whatever else is in your life. Maybe you got church retreats, or you got to go visit mom in Alabama and you don't really want to call it a vacation. Whatever you got, figure all that stuff out. And then before the year starts, start putting it in your calendar. If you go in, you're all welcome to go. I just didn't want to rip it off my wall. If you go in mine, in the back of my door, I've got stuff. And then when I got a farm, I got little tabs hanging that says Sabre Springs South over, and it's literally hanging over these 2 weeks. So those 2 weeks, I got to get my butt out there and knock on those doors. And then I've got to go do this over here. And oh, and over here in June, the last 2 weeks of June, I'm on family vacation. What's on my calendar, right? I'm looking at it. I can see it every day. So that's what you do. That's the long-winded answer to number one there, but that's what you do. So then now you can focus, right? Now you know. Okay, then they talk about time blocking. So you have to know what you're going to time block. You have to know what you're going to go do, right? If your goal, again, let's go back to the 10-4. You're going to go write those 10 notes and call 10 people and do all that stuff. So the goal might be, you're starting up from scratch. Maybe your goal is going to be, I want 1,000 people in my database by the end of the year. Okay, that's a nice goal. So now you do the math. That's 80-something people a month, right? So if it's 80-something people a month and there's 4 weeks, that's 20-something people. So you got to start chunking it down. So when you come to work on a Tuesday morning, you know, hey, I got to go get 8 contacts today or 10 contacts today or whatever it is, right? And then you start putting that in there because you're going to miss days. This is all great. You're not going to do everything you're supposed to do every single day, but you have to have a reasonable goal. What I do, and Gary Keller talks about this in one of those books. He said he brought it up. It was actually Jerry Seinfeld, right? Most of us know Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian. He said his goal when he was starting out was he wanted to personally write a joke every single day. And what he did was he took a calendar like this, and every day that he wrote a joke, he put an X. And the next day he wrote a joke. Next day he wrote, and his goal was to see how long he could get this chain going, right? And then, and for those of you that have gone to the gym at some point in your life for any consistency, you know what it's like when you're going and you're going and you're going and then you skip a day. Then it's like the next day, it's easier to get out of. When you got that unbroken chain, just out of sheer will, you want to keep it going, okay? So what I do is when I do my legitimate lead gen, which in my world equals 2 hours a day or 50 calls, right? If I'm door knocking 2 hours, I get an X. When I'm calling, I'm going to call 50 people. It doesn't mean I talk to 50 people. I'm going to make 50 phone calls. I'm going to give myself an X. And I'm trying to get as many of these X's as I can every month. And I've got a little chart, and I track how many, and you know, it really does work. You can go look at my chart and you can go see, like in May, I made like next to no calls. I had a lot of, maybe it was June, I had a lot of family stuff going on. You can track when you see those big blanks, and I can almost promise you, look 3 months down the road, and your business is going to be really, really slow. That's what real estate is. It's like a 3-month leading. What I do today is probably going to affect 3 months from now. And that's where you got to think. So when it's slow today, don't worry about it. Today, you're working for November and December business. That's reality. If something falls in your lap today, great. But the reality is it's relationship, in my world anyway. So I do that with Kelly, okay? That was a long answer for that one. So time block. So then I just take that and I time block, right? I know I come in, for example, and one of my little tips on the next thing too is I started doing this just about 3 or 4 years ago. I do events. So I have 3 times a year I call through my database, and I have, no, four times I'm calling through my database, but 4 events I have scheduled for the year. And I know how many people I need to contact for that event. So for example, this Sunday I'm having a little party at my house. This will be my 3rd year. It's a little fiesta. I hire a taco guy and a musician comes in and sings, and I'll get 60 to 70 people there. And these are just, I'm just calling what we'd call my A clients, right? The people that did business with me or that I'm really, really certain would refer me, and I'm calling through them. Well, guess what? If you mail to people and you say RSVP, people don't even know what that means anymore. You're going to get like 3 people who will respond. And then I email them, exact same thing, and I get 3 more people to respond. Actually, I get about 8 people to respond because they can quick do it. And then I still have the other 100 something out of my 200 people. I still have another 160 or 180 I got to call. So on my calendar, because my events this week, I gave everyone a Friday to call me. Now today, tomorrow, the next day, I'm going to call those 160 people. It's just what I got to do. It's not a negotiable item. It's not, gee, do I feel like making calls today? It's just a non-negotiable item. The more you can get your business like that, without, I don't believe killing yourself. I mean, it depends on how much you really want to push yourself, but you can push yourself so much that you burn yourself out, right? So there's a fine line. But the more you can get it, so it's just something you got to do, right? When I got to go knock on doors, I don't decide if I like the weather or don't like the weather unless it's horrifically hot or pouring rain. If it's not one of the extremes, I'm out there. Maybe I'm going to change from slacks to shorts. I'm going to be a little more comfortable or whatever. But the more you get non-negotiable in your life, the more successful you'll be in this business, because it's a lot of work. I mean, it's not easy business. Okay. I wrote down, know what you need to accomplish when you walk through the door. You know, the whole time blocking, again, it goes back to Gary Keller's The One Thing. If you haven't read it, I recommend it, where you're going to take from 2 to 4 hours a day, and you're going to focus on what it takes, what earns you business, which is lead generation, right? That's what you get business. You don't get business by making the file look really nice. You don't get business by doing this. This is a different activity, right? You don't get business sitting there going, okay, what should I do next? You get business by doing whatever it is you need to do to go get those people, okay? Next thing, accountability. I know you guys heard a lot about accountability in this class. Accountability, the word really says it all. But the easiest thing I find, again, I'll use the gym, you know, the gymnasium athletics example. And some of you, maybe that doesn't resonate with, but if you've ever, I don't care, go back your memory when you were 14 years old, if you and Billy used to work out together, or you and Mary would go do jump ropes together, whatever. Think back on that. Think about how if Mary didn't show up, you were kind of bummed, and then you wanted to say, what happened to you? Or she's calling you going, you're running late, and you know, that whole thing. I mean, I did that all through college. We tease each other if someone wasn't there. That's accountability. And whatever it takes for you, go find someone else in this class. Go make your own group. I happen to have a group of 4 of the top agents in the office. We meet every single Wednesday. We're really busy. Every single Wednesday we meet for an hour and a half, and we talk about ways to improve our business, improve our lives, improve our health, you know, not just business stuff, but we're accountable to each other. We have homework. We give each other homework every week, and we show up ready to talk about our homework. You can go find someone. Maybe it's your spouse. You know, if you've got a spouse, like she was talking about the kids, you know, if you can do that at home, sometimes that's not a great dynamic. I mean, you'll know how your spouse will help or not help with that. But have some accountability, and then if you're going to, once you find that person, you got to share what your goals are. Hey, I want to do my 10, 10, 10, 10 every day and every week. Have someone asking you, right? Some of you are going to hire a personal coach. I talk a lot about that. You know, when you're paying someone a lot of money, and on Monday they're going to ask you, what did you do? It always made me make sure I did my stuff, right? Because I'm paying a lot of money for someone to ask me that question. You know, the answer shouldn't be, I didn't get around to it. So accountability is a no-brainer, but many of us think, oh, I got it covered, I can handle it myself. And if you're that 1 in 500, great, good for you, but you're probably not. And even if it's just someone else, you know, if you guys end up going through BOLD, if any of you gone through BOLD, they make you get accountability partners, and that's a big Keller Williams class. I teach you a lot of stuff, you know, and it's someone from another office, and you're checking in, and whatever it takes. It's not rocket science, but it's helpful. But you got to be serious about it. If you guys just let it fade, that's what you know. If you don't put anything in it, you're not going to get much out of it. All right. I know when I walked in, she was talking about making your environment. We don't need to go through that. I mean, just, you know, if I'm in there making my calls, I've got an assistant on the other side of a door. I just close the door and say I'm making calls. You know, or sometimes I'll say, look, if so-and-so calls, interrupt me, because maybe I'm in the middle of a deal and I got to take that call. I probably should, but sometimes I'll break the rule for that one person. But I don't need all the little this and that. I gotta crank through my calls and make them happen. How do you keep your energy? So what they wrote down, I'm on 5 on page 14. Maintain long-term focus depends on me staying energized and enthusiastic. Everything I do either adds energy or depletes it from my life. So for me, one of the things, it's just one of my passions, but one of the things that keeps me focused on my work is actually scheduling my time off. I mean, even today at lunch, I was doing some work and I'm eating lunch, and I thought, I'm going to take 5 minutes. My kid wants to go to Budapest or something. So I'm like looking at plane flights, and not a good $2,000 a person to get over there. I'm like, oh my God. But I love trips. So I love to plan my trips 6-8 months in advance, because then when I'm getting a little rough during the day, I'm getting a little down, I go, you know, 3 more months and I'm in Costa Rica, I'm in Hawaii, I'm in Barbados. Or maybe you're just at the Grand Canyon, you know, whatever. Maybe it's just, you know, our friends this last weekend just did a staycation down at the beach. Just rented a place, Airbnb, for like 3 nights. You know, you don't have to go far, but whatever it is for you. You know, maybe it's that wine out with your girlfriend. Maybe it's a nice dinner that you never seem to find. I think you have to plan those things into your life. That's what I think. So to me, that helps me stay focused. The more I have that, you know, this is my last year of my kid playing baseball for, I don't know, he's 5, for like 12 years. So 12 years, every spring, when the baseball game starts at 3 o'clock, I'm not doing real estate. That's one of the things, that's one of the reasons I'm in this job. Okay, I'm not saying all of you have that luxury, but I get my work done before that. And you've probably heard the adage that all work expands to fill the time allotted, right? If you got this much work and you got this much time, you'll take that. But if you have this much time, most of us will still get it done. You know, think about the last time you went on a family vacation. Think about how much crap you got done the day before, right? And if you're like me, and I think most people I know, house got picked up, the bills all got paid, everything was squared away so you could relax on vacation. The more you can, because I think it's impossible, but the more you can function like that on a daily basis, the better you're going to be, right? Accountability. Okay, the bottom of that page, you guys can all read that. They just give you little tips about trying to maintain energy, focus. It's all good stuff. Any questions on that? It's all common sense stuff. Okay, so the 411, right? You guys did the 411. They teach you that? All right. So they're bringing it up again here. And again, a pretty easy example, if you skip to page 18, one of the annual goals for this particular person was to add 2,400 contacts to the database. That's a lot of contacts. But then they break it down, right? So, well, if I'm going to do 2,400 a year, that's 200 in a month. If I'm doing 200 in a month, then I got to do 50 every week, right? It's kind of funny. You do 5 days, 50, you get to 10 a day. Funny how that works. Funny how these examples come out that way. Is there any, I don't need to go through it if there's no questions on a 411. Is there anybody? It's good to have those goals. It's good to know what it is. I mean, it's easy to throw out there with the goals to sell houses, but you have to have more concrete, okay, what's going to help me sell houses? Okay. Another thing I like that I don't know, did you guys get a 135? Did they talk about that at all? Or 297, I just made that one up. I mean, they just 2 numbers. So the 135 is, I think it's pretty good. The 1 is your main business objective, whatever it is. Sell 50 homes, right? Then the 3 is the 3 goals to help you achieve that thing, whatever it is. So maybe to sell 50 homes, maybe one of your goals is going to be, you're going to sell 50 homes, you're going to have to go on 80 appointments, 100 appointments, right? They're trying to chunk it down to, from a goal, which is kind of a little pie in the sky thing, down to a daily activity. That's the whole goal with most things, right? It's the same thing, my kid ran track. It's the same thing on track. The coach isn't out there going, they go run a 4-minute mile. He's out there going, okay, let's make this split a little bit better. And then this split a little bit better, right? And when you go to hit a baseball, you're not trying to hit home runs all the time. You're just swing a little bit better, right? Incremental stuff. So the 1's your main goal, 3, your main objective. The next thing is the 3 goals to help you achieve that objective. And then you take those 3 goals and you kind of put them in another column. So these are the same thing. And then you can come up with 5 strategies for each of those goals. Right? So maybe your goal to sell those 50 houses, maybe one of your goals is going to be, if I'm going to sell 50 houses, man, I'm going to do 2 open houses a weekend, 40 weekends a year. So I'm going to do 80 open houses. Okay, if I'm going to do 80 open houses, what are my strategies for that? Right? Don't just say I'm going to do 80 open houses, then just show up on a Sunday afternoon and boom, I'm at the open house. You got to figure out, well, gosh, how many signs am I going to put out? God, I want to put out 20 signs. Well, guess what? If you want to put out 20, what's the first thing you got to do, you think, if you want to put out 20 signs? What's the first thing you got to do?
Where are you going to put them?
What's that?
Plan where you're going to put them?
Close. Even before that.
Get the sign.
Get the sign.
Get the signs. That sounds simple, doesn't it? Right? Well, guess what? To get the signs, it's a pain in the ass. You got to go figure out what you want the sign to look. I just did this. I'm like a dinosaur. And I just wanted to go do new signs. And I'm like, oh my God. To me, that's the most painful thing in the world because it's so definitive, right? When it's done, that's it. That's my sign. Unless I want to throw it out and do it again. But you got to do the signs. So one of your strengths first is going to be buy the signs, which means you got to design the sign. Unless you just want to buy a KW open house sign. Boom. That's the lowest common denominator. You can borrow those from the office. But if you want to go get 20 signs out there that say Tanya Lewis, then Tanya's got to decide, am I doing a logo? Am I putting my face on it? Am I doing this?
Just did it. I just redid mine,
Yeah.
and it was like, I'm like you.
Oh, I hated it.
I did too.
So we laugh about that, but that's the stuff you want to, that's how, what you got to think about. You guys all come from different backgrounds. I happen to come from an engineering background, so it's easy for me to think logistic wise. But that's what you got to think. You got to get the signs, which means you got to figure out a sign company, which means you got to decide, am I going to put a logo on? Am I not going to put a logo on? Am I going to, I mean, you all have driven by open house signs. Think, what do I like about that sign? I've gone by lots of signs. I go, holy crap, I can't read anything. They got everything in a, an 18 font. And they got like an encyclopedia on there. And other people just got a big old mugshot, and I don't know what they're pointing to. Figure out what you want on there. Well, you don't. It's just an arrow and a mug. Okay, I guess that's an open house. Either that or that guy's standing on a corner or something. I don't know. Figure out what you want on your open house sign. If that's going to be one of your goals. And figure that out for each of those things. So mine changed. I'm doing 3 events now that I never did before. I've been doing this is my 30th year. So 26 years and prior, I didn't do any of these events. And now I'm doing them. So I had to sit down and think it out. And then again, trial and error. I mean, I do my first event. It's like, one of my events, I take 40 or 50 past clients to a winery, right? They're great events, very expensive. It's like a wedding reception. It's like $40+ a head. Okay, not cheap. The one I'm doing this weekend, cheap. It's like $6 a head plus the cost of my musician, right? So it's going to cost me, it's going to end up being like $10 or $15 a head. But there's logistics. I mean, this weekend my wife and I are pulling out. She's got little piñatas and a little sombrero. It's a fiesta. We're going to do a little Spanish flavor. And guess what we're going to drink? Margaritas and sangrias. Well, guess what? You got to go buy the fruit, and you got to buy wine, whatever goes in sangria, and you got to go buy I don't know what goes in there, the grape juice, whatever goes in there, and you got to go buy margarita mix. I'm not making margaritas from scratch. I got to go buy beer. All those things are logistics. I got to have a whole bunch of water. I got to have sodas. I got to have little juice boxes because someone's going to show up, the 2-year-old. These are things you have to do when you have that goal. Okay, what do I break it down? What's the strategy? What do I got to do? Okay, so you got to give some things some thought. All right. The other thing on all of these things really apply to your life, not just real estate, right? I mean, if you're going to make plans for the family vacation, if you're going to make plans, we'll get into money a little bit, right? A lot of us are in real estate, so we want to make money. Why do you want to make money? Because I want to be able to put my kid through college. Okay, let's track that. Let's take a look. What's that look like? Are you just like throwing it up against the wall, and then all of a sudden the kid turns 18, you go, okay, well, let's see what we got. Because I'll tell you what, that's like what 80% of people do. It's amazing to me. I got a kid who started college, and I got one that's about to start college. And I've been floored the last couple of years how many parents I've run into that have 16, 17-year-old kids. They go, oh, God, 2 more years, God, I got to start saving. I'm like, wow. I started saving when they were each 2 years old. I'm a planner. Then I'm only putting a couple $100 away every month, and I don't even think about it. I'm not your financial guy, but I mean, that's the kind of stuff you got to start doing. You got to, if you want to get ahead. I mean, if you don't, then just kind of wing it. Okay, so goals. You guys probably heard goals a lot, so I'm not going to kill too much time on goals. So we're going to go to 19, and then we're going to skip 19. I don't want to talk about CGI. It's not my thing. I think it's more of a management thing, but they probably taught you a little bit about that. Did they get into CGI?
Yes, we do CGI calls once a week.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you do your calls. That's good. But I'm not here to talk. CGI is another good way to track stuff. That's all good. It's not my thing. It's kind of new. And I told you I'm a dinosaur. Okay, 20. You guys have been through this. Okay, this is math. This is like, okay, I'm going to start out and go, okay, how much money do I want? What's the average sale price? That's a way. It's a good drill. I'm not saying this isn't a good drill, but you're basically working backwards. Say, right? You're going, I want to make 100 grand. Well, I'll just go to Yanni and go sell 6 houses. Right? I'll just go do that. Well, you got to, okay, how am I going to get that? You got to start figuring out what the target really is, and then figuring out how you're going to reach that target. Okay, 21 I like. 21 is really for you guys. I'm going to give you like 5 or 6 minutes to work on this. So this is really, what have you been doing through this class, right? What wins have you experienced? What opportunities for improvement have you encountered? What kind of leads are you getting? So you're kind of going down and just right off the top of your head, just on your book, just scribble down some things and we'll talk about a few of them, okay? Look at me. Right. How was your? And you like your brother? I just drove twice. Hi, what's Israel? I was in Israel with my brother. She had like children. Yeah. 2 weeks, very well spent. Yeah. Chris, no, Chris. You're writing on your calculator?
Yeah, I'm calculating how much you told me to make.
All right. It's all to you. All right, we'll start discussing some of this stuff. So I had a question. How many of you, or which one of you, say 2 years from now is going to be making $100,000 in real estate in a year? Good. Good. That's it. That's it. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's. Who wants to share some of their wins during Ignite?
Confidence
Confidence.
Mhm.
Okay, good.
and understanding real estate better, but and I mean like getting familiar with terms,
Okay.
being more knowledgeable. That makes me
Excellent.
feel confident, and meeting a lot of people which are in the field, and they accept you with open arms, and you can pick their brain. It's really helpful to be in this atmosphere, and I personally feel I accomplished a lot in just
Good.
towards last month.
What I suggest, if you haven't done this, for example, and it's for all you guys, if you're new and you're trying to learn terms, and let's face it, real estate kind of has its own language, is go schedule an appointment with an escrow officer and say, look, I just want a half hour and tell me top 10 terms I should know related to escrow. Do the same thing with a title rep. Do the same thing with a lender. Because these guys are if you're calling the right people, they're the experts. And instead of asking us, they're the people, and they've got a vested interest, right? They're going to want your business, so they're going to want to share time with you. Don't ask for too much time, and if you need to follow up, that's between the two of you. But that's a really good way to go. I do that with my assistants. I say, okay, you need to go learn title. Here, title guy. You guys go out and go talk for an hour, right? And ask questions and do this and do that, right? That's how we learn, right? You go ask. So that's good. Who else has got a win they want to share?
I had my first closed deal last week. Got
Nice.
my first listing appointment 2 weeks before that.
Beautiful. That makes you feel good. Stand up proud. More listening appointments than I had. It comes and goes. Anybody else want to share something?
Last week I had 4 buyers presentations. This week I have about one that I'm trying to line up, and then a second one that I'm trying to follow up. Well, two new ones that should be live.
Are you getting them to sign a BRE?
They're more, I'm calling them presentations because it's like 30-minute conversations over the phone. Basically me figuring out their needs, their motivations for moving, what they're looking for, and then explaining to them that they should come talk to Chris, the loan officer, and one of them has come in and talked to Chris, and kind of figuring out where they're at, and then telling them, look, if you want me to start looking for properties, why don't you come in, sign a BRE, let's move forward. And so 2 of them are going to be rentals, but I got a referral from one for someone who's actually buying.
Yeah.
And then the 2 that this week are both people who are looking to buy.
For you, what I would strongly suggest is I would shift and I would get off the phone and I'd get them in here. Because 2 things. Number one, really, the only thing the phone should, I think that the phones really should be used for is to set an appointment. Sometimes you have to answer some questions because you have, again, I know you came in later, but they got to know you're competent and they got to like you, right? It's hard to, you can be nice over the phone, but it's really harder to develop a relationship over the phone than it is face to face. And you can kid around a little bit, you can look them in the eye, you can do this, you can sit up straight, whatever it is, you know, the body language and the whole thing. And there's nothing ever that you can make money that's going to happen over the phone, meaning they can't sign a contract, they can't hire you, they can't go look at a home, it just doesn't happen. Sometimes you're forced. I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's a long distance guy, and you know, I just sold a house, ladies in Massachusetts. She's stayed in Massachusetts the whole time. That's the exception. So the quicker you can, and that might be your confidence, right? It's easy to have the conversation. It's easy to do this. It feels a little bit harder to get someone to go and sign this thing right here, but that's also showing your competence as a professional. And what you'll find, absolutely, and hopefully not often, but 100% it will happen, is they're going to go out on a Sunday and they're going to see a house that, oh my God, it's perfect. And the agent goes, well, we got 3 offers. Well, if I write an offer, And next thing you know, they loved you, but they protected their own best interest and they wrote an offer with that agent. And it happens to me. It just happened to me in January. The lady I did a deal with, she, yeah, I can't buy till April, blah, blah. I said, almost the same as you. I said, okay, tell you what, in the next month, you need to get together with my lender, get everything lined up. So in April, we're ready to write an offer. Well, that weekend she went out, 6 offers, the agent said blah, 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 and they'll rent back to April, right? Because her whole deal was she had a lease till April and she couldn't get out, blah, blah. And I lost $12,000. Now, not a whole lot different I could have done because she really wasn't ready then, but it just shows you. I mean, I try to get a contract signed the moment I get a contract signed. So start thinking that way, because contracts, for the most part, lead to money. Nice sometimes leads to money, right? It just happens. And sometimes people fade, but if you got them on a contract, I mean, I do all my BREs for a year. You guys remember we're talking about BRE? Okay. I just started using them maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I don't go any other way. I mean, I just use them. And I think they tell you a lot. I mean, if you got the buyer that doesn't want to sign, that's kind of telling me something, because I'll ask them, why don't you want to sign? You're telling me you want me to help you. There must be something that you're hesitant on. Whereas if you don't ask the tough question, and it's a tough question, because you may get rejected right there. But I sure rather they say, well, you know what, I got someone else help me over here, and I want to be able to, if I run by that for sale by owner, I want to be able to, oh, okay. And then you make a decision. Sometimes, depending on where I am, most of the time I'm going to say, that's not how I work. I'm going to call the clients that have officially hired me. It doesn't cost you anything. The ones that really want me to do. Yes, lady in the back.
Yes, sir. How long do you make your BREs for?
A
There's
year.
beginning and an
Year.
end, and I just was curious, how long
1
you
year.
do this?
1 year. Yeah. I do listings for 6 months. I actually when I started doing it, and it saved me a couple years ago. My listings go 6 months until the end of that month. So if 6 months, like right now,
Yes.
6 months ago, it would have ended on October 2nd. It would have gone to October 31st. So it really would have been 7 months. I sold a house 2 years ago. I did that, and it was about an extra 3 weeks it got added on. And I got an offer on, it was like September 30th. After a house that sat, they went and busted on the price, and when you knew nothing, it sat for 6 2/3 months. And on the last day, and I had already called them, hey guys, it's about to expire. What are we going to do? We're going to put it back in the market. What's your plan? No, we'll wait till next spring. And this was like September. Got an offer, sold the house. Had I not done that little, then I just decided, it's just so that I know when my listings are expired, right? It was just a little simple thing. That was $17,000, that little simple thing. So anyway, that's my suggestion to you.
Thank you.
And here's what will happen. The more you practice the BRE, because here's what a BRE forces you to do. It forces you in a room with someone that either just met you, or you met them at an open house probably, right? Or they're on your kids, you don't have kids probably, but maybe some of your kids' soccer team or baseball team or whatever, but they don't know anything about your real estate. So now you can go in there and you can look professional. Any of you that were here at the team meeting last week, and I made a joke about, boy, figure out something you can say that makes you look smart. Doesn't matter if you're smart, you look smart. I'm dead serious. You go in there, bring a graph, bring a chart, and just start talking about it. Figure out ahead of time, okay, what 4 things can I say about this piece of paper that's going to make me look smart? This sounds trite. It's not. I'm telling you, you want to go in there and look smart. Not like, you want them to have more than just, well, he seems like a nice guy. Because guess what? At open houses, 95% of the people seem like nice people. What are you doing in an open house? If you're an angry, snotty person, what are you doing in an open house for, right? So it's usually people that, they're polite. Doesn't mean they know squat. So, but my point is, the more you start going for the signature, the better you're going to get at your skill. You raised your hand, you want that 100,000, you got to have skills, right? They got to like you got to be competent as having skills to get them to sign a contract. Who else got something? I can make you have to do more when you speak. All right, what's our next question? What opportunities for improvements have you encountered? Okay, we covered some of those, but what else? Anybody got any opportunities you think you want to improve on? That's great. Okay, Scott.
Be more consistent with my lead generation. When I do it, it's good, and I know that, but I just.
And that one's from today to you get out of this business. It really is. My worst lead gen is when I don't, I erased it. When I don't have something on my calendar, I don't calendar every moment. Like I calendar my farm, and if I get done on a Friday, but my next farm, I gave myself a week buffer. Like that happened last week. Last week, the week before I finished door knocking, and this week I'm calling those 160 people I told you I still have to call for my party. Last week I didn't have anything. So guess how much lead gen I did last week? I think I called about 8 people in a week. But on July, the 4th of July, like the day or two before, every year, I offer everybody in my database a Julian apple pie. And about 100 to 110 people take me up on it. But there's 1,000 people that I call. I mail to, I email to, but again, like I said a minute ago, it's the calls. I call 1,000 people. That's a lot of people, okay? That's 50 people a day. What's my math on this? 50 people a day, that's 250 a week. So it takes me an entire month of not missing a day, right? An entire month of not missing a day. Well, you're gonna miss a day. You're gonna have an inspection or something. Something's gonna come up. So I really need to 5.5 weeks to get 1,000. That's a lot of calls. So I'm just saying it doesn't stop. So yeah, figure out a way to get yourself consistent and just be true to yourself. At the end of the day, it's yourself, right? Get an accountability partner, someone to keep track, someone to bug you, someone to call you a schmuck if you don't do it, whatever works for you. But at the end of the day, it's you. That's the one thing in this business, right? Whatever businesses you came from, I was in the military. I was an officer in the Navy, right? So it's massive teamwork, right? It's massive groups going and doing something. When you're here, you're on an island. Other than knowledge, right? I'm not going to come write a contract for you. I'm not going to go show your client a house, right? Unless it's a favor or this or that. But for the most part, you're on your island. So you got to tap in everyone that'll help you out with knowledge and the how-tos, and then you got to go do it. You know, and some of you are going to find out that you don't really have the personality to get someone to sign the contract. You can be great at everything, but if you can't do that, there's nothing wrong with you. And there's people in this office that my assistant was a real estate agent for 2.5 years. She's better off doing admin and on the phone and she's awesome at what she does. So there's nothing good or bad, but if you're going to make that $100,000, you're going to have to get people to sign contracts. So okay. All right, we'll skip. What kind of leads you get when you can rate yourself? Number 4, what will you do differently? Anyone got some things you go, yeah, this is what I'm going to do now? You got a lot of stuff thrown at you. I'm sure you had some really good people come up here, you know, strong agents in the office that came and talked to you before me. Anything? Richard, what's your number 1 thing?
Probably need a block time for lead generating, set up time.
Yeah. And you probably heard it, for most people, the best time is first thing in the morning. And I can tell you this, when you have a plan and you're executing your plan and you believe it, you believe in your plan, then you can go home feeling good when you got no business because you know you did your 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever it is. Robert's got 3 hours. My goal is 2 hours. I know, like today, I got a lot to go because I made myself call 10 before this and get ready for you guys. So when I get out of here, I've got a lot of calls. I got 40 more calls to make. But I'm going to go make my 40 calls. But that'll take me 2 hours. It might take me a little longer because these are friends that I'm calling, right? These are people I've done business with. So sometimes those calls get a little bit longer. And that's one of my things that I had to work on because it's easy for me to get into a 15-minute conversation.
How many calls do you make a day now on average these days?
Well, I would say that when I'm on my game, it's 50 a day. Now, when I went back in June, I actually had to bump it to like 62 a day because I forget what happened. There was a week in there that I miscalculated or something happened with one of my weeks. So I was like, I got to get this done. So.
How many of those 50 are you having conversations with?
That's a great question. So here's my numbers. Here, that's a great segue because the next topic is, Scott's great. Know your numbers. Know your numbers, right? Again, it's a big KW thing. Huge KW thing. So I have found, what I do over the years is every so often I'm going to track my numbers. Now I don't track what they're tracking here. I don't track all my lead conversion. I'll give you my 2 cents on that. But when I go door knock or when I'm making calls, Now I'm making better calls than a cold call because these are people I know. So I have cell phone numbers for most of them, right? But on average, I'm gonna get about 20% that answer the phone. When I door knock, I'm gonna get 20% that answer the door. Now, some days I go out and I'm getting 13%. Some days I go out and I walk for 20, and I'll tell you, you gotta be strong up here, okay? And I am, but it still gets to me. Some days I go out door knock and I'm out there and it's 92 degrees and I knock for the first 20 minutes and not one person answers the door. So in my head, I think I could have paid some schmuck to put my stuff on the door, right? I don't have to put it on the door. Anybody could have put it on the door. So it's stupid for me to be out there if that's my result. But I know, because I've done the door knocking for 25, 28 years, over time I'm gonna get 20%. Some days I go out and 6 of the first 7 people are home. So statistically, I'm way ahead of the thing. But 20% is the number that I find over and over and over and over, right? Not necessarily, some days I'm gonna have, and I did it this last, 6 months ago, 4 months ago, when I was doing my apple pie calls, I tracked it. And it was running, the average was about 20, maybe 22 or something. It was a little bit higher because and to me, if you're in my database and I have a home and Bob's cell and Mary's cell, I'm calling Bob and Mary. And if I need to, I'll call their home. If I don't get to leave either, but usually on a cell I can leave a message. So that only counts for me as one contact. So sometimes I'm calling 2 phone numbers to get one knocked off. That's just me. Because I can track how many contacts I have to call. But my system doesn't tell me out of all those contacts, how many have 2 numbers, have 1 number, but I don't care. So 20%. But that's a good number to know because that way you're not getting discouraged when you get 20, 30, 40 minutes and no one answers the phone or nobody comes to the door. And those numbers have nothing to do with me other than my phone calls are a little bit better because I have cell numbers. Let's face it, most people have cell numbers. That's all they use nowadays. What are the questions?
What system do you use? Yeah.
Ask me in a month. I'm about to change my system. I've been using a system that I just found out about 3 hours ago because it wasn't working. So I contacted the guy who developed it, who wrote the software. And he's like, yeah, that one's going obsolete. So I'm like, great. So don't even get into what I am using. So I'm going to be I'm in your shoes now. I actually told my assistant, I said, I got to go through the office and start interviewing the top agent. So I'll ask Yoni, what are you using? Are you using Buffini?
I used to use Buffini. I liked that it was simple and it was good for your sphere. It was very simple. And it doesn't, okay, and now I'm using Top Producer, which nothing's perfect, I'll tell you guys right now. Everybody will tell you the same thing too. Nothing is perfect unless you spend a lot of money and then you're spending a lot of time trying to make it perfect. It's still not perfect. But a lot of others have spent a lot more money than me. You can talk to Daniel Beer about whatever he's using. He likes that.
Wasn't he writing his own or something now?
I think he's using.
All right.
Sure.
But I gotta work on that. Find something that works for you, but try to think about. I mean, my fear. I have 1,000+ people that are in my sphere, but I have probably 6,000 to 7,000 people on my computer in my database. So my assistant said to me like 3 hours ago. She says, "Wow, you're really remaining calm." Because I mean, this is like really horrible, horrific news. When you're starting out, it doesn't really matter. If you're shifting 20 people to a different one, great. When you're shifting thousands, and I've got notes, the Top Producer, I almost did them 3 years ago, and they couldn't transport my notes. Right. I have notes. If I talked to you 14 years ago, I know we talked 14 years ago. I like that, but I might lose that. I mean, all I can do is what I can do. The reality of it is the one I'm using that I've used for 15, 16 years, I found out about 11 o'clock this morning because I was having trouble and it was funny. I Googled the company name and I find an article and the article says this other company's acquiring the company and the owner and he's going over here. So I wrote him a note today going, I just talked to you 2 months ago. He helped me with the old system. He didn't say, oh, by the way, I'm at this company now. So today I'm like, what happened? He's like, we're just letting that one run out. It's obsolete. I'm like,
So what's the name of that one? We should know.
oh yeah, well it's called Advantage XI. Yeah, don't do Advantage XI. But I don't think they won't even sell it to you now because there's no one there. Anyway, good question, but I don't have an answer. Okay. So so let me give you my 2 cents on the numbers, and I really do want to, we got another half hour, okay? Because if you got no questions, great, I go back to work, because I got 40 more calls to make, but if you got questions, I'm committed to answer those questions for you. So, my thing, and I love numbers. I'm an engineer, I love numbers, I love talking in percentages, but I have a, it's not really a philosophy, it's just a belief, a proven belief in real estate. And you have to also get this in your head, because real estate can be extremely rewarding and extremely frustrating. I mean, extremely frustrating, because people that you 100% think they're gonna hire you, they can be good friends of yours, and they don't. And that sucks when that happens. It really does. So what I've learned in real estate, and there's not too many businesses like this. I always think about, you can be a great salesman and you're selling eyeglasses, you're selling bicycles, you're selling widgets, right? And if you're really good at your job, you can probably convince someone to try your pair of sunglasses or try your bicycle or your widget. We're not going to get anyone to try, here, go see if you like this $600,000 house that I'm going to sell you. And if you don't, I'll sell you a different one next March. It doesn't work that way. So you're going to go out and develop relationships. If you do it all the way I do my business, and again, that's just my, you can go talk to Daniel Beer. He does advertising. So most of his leads are what we call, green leads. There's no warm cold leads, right? They don't know them. They just heard an ad or they saw them on the internet or whatever. I'm more about one-on-one, making a relationship with you and making a relationship with you and making a relationship with you, and do it to the degree that 8 years from now, when your mom's selling her house, you go, man, that Ed guy's really nice, and got to keep getting these postcards. He sold a house. Right? I got to let people know I'm competent. So when you're out there doing your lead gen, when you're out there meeting people, understand that it really, for the most part, has nothing to do with you if they're in a position to go buy. Well, it does have nothing to do with you if they're ready, willing, able to buy a home or sell a home. So you can't get discouraged when you get a lot of what seems to be rejections. They're just not buying a home, right? It doesn't matter how much they like it. So if you understand that, to me, on the conversions, you're trying to find, that's why, again, Keller Williams, but all the trainers are teaching, you're trying to find someone who's really trying to do something. If you're doing cold calling or you're doing the internet or the ads, you're trying to get a body who's really going to do something next 3 to 6 months. So if you're tracking those, and I'm sure Dan tracks all these numbers, I mean, because he has a large sample size. You gotta be careful with numbers. I'm just a little guy, right? So if I got a sample size of 100 calls versus thousands, it's hard to make an analysis off that, I think. I think a lot of this real estate is you being there, right? You guys have probably heard this. Suppose it came from Seneca, which was a guy who was like back with Aristotle. Luck is a matter of preparation, meeting opportunity. I've had that cut out and on my computer for like 20 years. I love that saying, but it's the truth, right? I didn't get lucky because I knocked on the door and they decided to sell the house that day. But you could say I got lucky because they just decided that day and I happened to be there. But I happened to be there because it was on my calendar and I got my backside out the door and I knocked on the door. Right? I had one of those 2 years ago. The mom had just died. The son's in town. They're making a decision that weekend. I happened to knock on the door. And 3 hours later, I came back and signed him up on a listing. But I planned to be on that door, right? So it was my preparation crossing paths with that opportunity happened to happen there. So keep that in mind when you're out there. If you're going to do cold calls, if you're going to go do that, think about, okay, I'm doing this looking for business. Do I also want to do this to grow my database? Because that's a different conversation, right? If all you're doing is looking for business today, then you just want to know, are you buying a home or selling a home in the next 6 months? It's a simple, that's all you want to know. But if you're looking to grow your database, you want to find out, hey, do you have a real estate agent if you were looking to buy a home, or if your friend was looking to buy a home or sell a home, do you have a real estate agent that you'd be referring? No. Oh, you don't. You know what? I'd love the opportunity to become that real estate agent. Would you mind if I put you on my client appreciation program? I'll keep in touch with you. I'll send you something every now and then. I'll call and say hello. So that's my new script when I'm out door knocking, if I like the person at the door, right? If I talk to them, they seem like a nice guy. They seem like they're being friendly to me. I want to upgrade them to my other program. So that's where it goes back to your pillars. What's your goal? Because it'll work. You can be David Norberg, who is my coach out in LaMay, and you can just crank calls. You can be Dan, I'm sure, I mean, they get up and they call clients, like 12 people probably make calls, I assume an hour or two a day. And you can just make calls. And if you make enough calls, you will find people that want to buy or sell a home. I don't have the willpower to make that many calls to find enough people. So I want to make some calls, but I want to convert those people to my database so down the road they're doing business with me. That's just the way I do. So I didn't talk much about these numbers. They're talking about conversion rates. Don't get too caught up in them. I see some new agents and they get lucky. You know, they go out and the 6th door, someone told me this story the other day and I wanted to choke. I'm like, you know, they went out, they never door knocked, they hate door knocking. Their buddy said, let's go door knocking together. Like the 8th door they knocked on, someone said, yeah, we're thinking of selling. They came back 2 hours later, signed it, sold it, made $24,000.
That's great.
And I'm like, you gotta be, there's a gal in my, one of my farms is Sabre Springs South. There's 950 homes there. And a lot of these agents are out there doing things I don't think is the most ethical, but they're doing it nonetheless. So they're going out there saying, you know, I have a buyer, you know, there's no inventory, I have a buyer, you know, if you know anybody thinking and da-da-da-da. And, you know, some of these agents you talk to, you go, well, I'm sure someone in my office has a buyer, so it's not, I'm not being on that. I don't do that. If I have a buyer, I'm going to say that. Well, this agent was taking a piece of paper, and all she did was type it here, copy and paste it here, tore the piece of paper in half, and was putting it on doorsteps. I mean, it was like a 3rd grader would have put something nicer looking together, right? And all of a sudden she got a listing and sold a house for $720,000 that I've been putting they've never answered the door because I got my records. But I've been putting stuff on that door for 15 years. 10 or 11 times a month for 15 years. But you know what? What did she do? What did she do?
Get it personal.
Huh? No, I don't think it had anything to do with what she wrote. Maybe they got the hook of, oh, they might have somebody, but they figured it out as soon as like they shouldn't really have anybody. No, it's opportunity and preparation, right? She went and made that crappy little piece of paper. She made the effort. I don't even know if she just hired some kid to go out and drop these on the door. I have no idea. But she did something. She was in the game. She was in the game as the lowest common denominator. I'm telling you, if I showed you this thing, you guys would, I passed around the room, you'd laugh at it. I mean, literally, it was like a Roman numeral 10 font typed. You know, she didn't even, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was embarrassed for her putting her name on that, right? And it worked. So things will work. The number one thing is be in the game. Don't sit at your desk trying to figure out the perfect way to be in the game. Figure out something and go be in the game. If you guys, I know you've all ordered business cards. If tomorrow you wake up and you want to go get to work, grab your business cards and go out and talk to people. Go to the mall. Go to door knock. Go do something. Get out of your comfort zone. Get people to say, hey, stop bugging me. Okay, go to the next one. My experience at my farm, and I got Carmel Mountain Ranch in Sabre Springs, my experience, and this is no exaggeration, I'm just under 1 in 1,000. They get pissed off because I ignored their no soliciting sign. 1 in 1,000. Not 1 in 10, not 1 in 100. And you know what? I don't knock on the door anymore because I pissed them off. It's okay. It's all right. And when people come to the door all angry, I think, must be something going on in their life. You're so angry because someone rang your doorbell. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Someone just rang your doorbell. I didn't do anything. I didn't break your window. I didn't yell at your cat. I mean, I just rang your doorbell. And everyone, but it doesn't happen that often. It's in our heads, right? Or you heard some scary story. I mean, it just doesn't happen. So
I knock on the door and it says no soliciting. But I knock on the door, they came out and they were very nice to me and they actually want me to bring report back to them the next day.
there you go.
So, but I also had one guy, I don't know if he put a no soliciting or not, but he came out so angry, cursing, yelling at me, and pumped his front door like crazy. I thought he was going to kill me. But,
You know what the good news is now? You have like 950 doors you can do and that won't happen because you got your 1 in 1,000. I mean, it just, the reality of it is, you know, and every once in a blue moon, I'll get someone come out and they'll do like this guy. I can picture the guy right now. I can picture Street. I know exactly where it was. You know, did one of these, can't you read that? And I always go, oh, I'm sorry. I got nothing to sell you. I'm not selling them anything. I'm just out there saying hi and giving them a postcard or a scratch pad. I look at soliciting as I'm trying to sell you something. I'm trying to convince you to go buy something. I'm soliciting you to do something. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just trying to say hi. But if you got a hair up your backside and that's the way you want to act, that's fine. It's okay. But I have notes on every house. I just go, do not drop. And I just don't put my stuff there anymore. You know, I had a guy in, and this guy worried me. He did worry me because there's a condo complex about 3 blocks. Savannah Terrace, you guys know Savannah Terrace? It's about 3 blocks from here. And I was door knocking there, and I'm pretty sure he's full of baloney, but he told me he's either FBI or CIA, which I think is ridiculous because you wouldn't like, hey, I'm FBI, you know, no, you wouldn't be telling me that. And in that complex, when you first enter the complex, they have little posted signs, you know, it is unlawful to drop off any solicitations at the doorstep, and they're getting a little more specific. And there's a couple doors I dropped, I saw it the other day, and it said, you know, I don't want your flyer, you know, and it was very, very specific. It wasn't just a no soliciting thing, and I went, okay. But 98% of them I've ignored. But on that one complex, that guy ended up being kind of wacky, because then he called me another time, because I skipped him, but he noticed my stuff across the little grass area on someone else's door. So he made it a point to pick up the phone and call me again, as he's home during the middle of the day doing his CIA stakeout. And I just thought, you know what, this dude's a live wire. I don't need this. So now I mail to that complex instead of door knocking. Yes, lady.
Don't you run across a couple of little loose screws out there, particularly when you're casting your net? So why every 2 years I get, boy, they must let them out of the padded cell.
Yeah.
You're going to run into that.
Well, it's funny because 2 weeks ago, when I was finishing up, the last street, there's this lady, and I certainly won't name names, and I've known her, I don't know, like 15 years or something, right? She's usually home, so we've met, you know, many, many dozens of times. And about, excuse me, it was probably about a year ago, she called me, and it was like a Looney Tune message about something related to real estate, but it was going to be this and then that, and it just went on and on and on, and I'm like, oh my God. And then, so now when I go to the door, like, she just came to the door the other day, and she's like this sweet lady. So I don't know if she took like some.
She might have been offered meds.
Exactly. I don't know if she took some weird med. I mean, it was. I should have seen the recording. It was Looney Tunes.
It happens rarely that you come into just a situation that ever stands out that becomes a story. But guys know that ultimately, like, you caught somebody when it was them having their day and it wasn't about you.
Exactly.
9.5 times out of 10. So if you knocked on their door again, they probably wouldn't even remember you anyway. But I think that does a good job of making note. Do not drop. You don't want to do business necessarily with people who you don't get that vibe.
Well, I go back to the Looney's house because I don't care unless they like, you know, don't ever come here again and blah blah.
Right.
I mean, I'll share another true story with you, and you won't believe it, but I'll give you the short version. So years and years and years ago, I was selling a house. We got an offer. The offer didn't come together. I knew going into it that I had a very shady client because there was a class action lawsuit in this community. And on a class action lawsuit, there's always one named plaintiff, and he was the named plaintiff. So for like 6 years, I know that he's that guy. And 6 years later, after the lawsuit, he calls me to sell his house. And I had sold it before when he bought the house. And I walk in the door, and before I even sat down, I just say, hey, I got to ask you. I know you were the named plaintiff on this lawsuit, so what exactly was wrong with your house? And he looks at me, and he gives me a little smirk, and he goes, well, if you sue, you get money. And I almost walked out the door because I thought, oh, my God. You know, this guy's right up front. I'm dangerous, right? I mean, that's not the kind of people you want to do business with. I thought, it's right in the middle of my farm. I mean, there's pros and cons, right? So it's right in the middle of my farm, and I thought my ego got in the way, and I thought, okay, I can handle this. So I take the listing, I don't know, a month into it or something. I get this offer. The offer doesn't come together. About a week later, the guy's like demanding we cancel the listing, and I didn't like him to begin with because he's shady. So I went, okay, fine. So I canceled the listing. Like a month later, I get a phone call from the agent who wrote that offer and said, hey, I just want to make sure, are you aware that, you know, my client and your client are now in escrow? I said, no, I have no idea. I said, my client, I got rid of that guy 3 weeks ago. I had nothing to do with it. And I go, are you sure? He goes, yeah. Now his client lived in New Jersey, right? Still lived in New Jersey. So I'm a little bit ticked, but I just went, whatever, that's life. Ironically, my boss, my real estate boss at the time, calls me like the next day, checking in on me or something. I mean, we talk like twice a year, and what's going on? Maybe it was that same day, and I said, yeah, I just found this out, and I just kind of, bitched a little bit to him. And he goes, well, you can't do that. You got to go sue him. And I said, no, I don't want all the negative energy and all this stuff. And he goes, no. He goes, look, you can't let people do that, number one. And if you lose, it doesn't matter. He goes, just go sue him in small claims court. You'll learn what the whole process is about. And it costs like $40. And you don't have to hire an attorney, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, and I'll go with you. I said, all right. So we do that. But the seller, you know what? When I talked to them, literally they closed escrow like the day before, that day or something. Well, the seller's gone. I have no idea where the seller went. I have no way of tracking this guy, but the buyer's in the house. So we sue the buyer because the whole argument is that they colluded, which they did. So we go to court. I knew we lost the moment we walked in because we go to court and she's only like a 5-month-old baby. When she goes in front of the judge, she's like, the judge is like, yeah, can you go on up? She's like, and she looks like very simple, right? She's got that kind of simple, not putting her down, just kind of a simple cat. Yeah, I asked the seller, shouldn't we be calling the agents? And he said, oh no, it was fine. I'm thinking, so you're asking the wolf if it's okay that, and the judge throws our case out. And I'm like, okay, well, clearly they did this. I mean, what it was an accident that these people 3,000 miles apart came, So anyway, so they're in the middle of my farm. So I door knock, and I thought, well, I'm not door knocking that one anymore, right? I mean, I sued these people. I kid you not, I don't remember. I can't remember time anymore, but like 7 years later, they go to sell their house, and they call me. So my first thought was, look around for weapons, right? And I swear to God, they call me, hey, Ed, can you come over? We're going to be selling the house. And I'm like,
I charge 12%.
So I go to the house and I'm dying to ask, but luckily the smart part of my brain is going, what do you gain by asking? Because maybe, I mean, this much of a chance, but maybe they actually forgot. Maybe. And obviously bringing it up probably isn't a good topic. And by asking, I try to think, and this I would recommend for all of you, but I try to think this way now in my life. I try to think about what's the benefit, right? If I'm going to yell at my kid, what's the benefit? What's the gain, right? There better be a lesson learned, or else I'm just yelling at the kid. Or getting in a fight with my spouse, or bringing up the proverbial cap off the toothpaste, or whatever, right? So I'm thinking, if I bring it up, maybe they're going to say, oh, yeah, but we didn't think you were really at fault because kind of it was slimy and you're a good guy over, maybe they're going to say that, or maybe they're going to go, well, you're still the best guy in the neighborhood. Maybe they're going to say something that makes me feel good, but maybe not. Maybe they're going to go, get the hell out of my house. And I don't really care about any of that stuff. I care about selling the house and getting paid. So I kept my mouth shut. I sold the house. They loved me. We never spoke about it. I sued one person in my life, and they hired me, and I made like $18,000 on them. It's a weird business, and that's a totally true story. I wouldn't have bet a nickel that they would ever hire me, nonetheless even call me. But I kept thinking, they're going to drop, there's something to the whole appointment. But
Maybe they feel guilty,
Could have been.
and so they want to give
it could have
you
been,
that.
it could have been something that would have made me feel great, but I was risking the entire commission to find out if they were going to say something that makes me feel great. And trust me, there's been many times where I've opened my mouth and I lost that commission too. So you'll learn.
How do you find out that they, or how did the other guy find out that they're both y'all's agents?
I don't know. My guess, I don't recall if he told me that answer, but my guess is that he might have just followed up with them. I mean, they really came across as just simple, honest people. Golly gee, Judge, we didn't know we were doing anything wrong. We asked the seller, we thought, yeah, these agents should be involved. Seller said, no, it's all fine. And they didn't know the history I know, like this is the seller who's suing just because you do a class action, you get money. And when you're the lead plaintiff, you get more money. I don't know how much more, but you get more money. Everybody that did that claim got around $8,000 to $10,000. So they probably made, I would think, a chunk more than that. All by being a scumbag. I mean, he basically admitted it to me, so. All right, we got about 10 more minutes. Any other questions?
Can I have one more?
Sure.
So when you do door knocking, I'm sure you will run into someone who's an agent. So that happened to me.
Someone what?
Someone who's a real estate agent.
Yeah.
So that happened to me a few times.
Sure.
Sometimes people are very upset because I think they feel like I'm invading their whatever territory. But I was doing my open house. I just literally invite them to my open house. So I would like to know how would you respond? 'Cause it doesn't make sense to look up everybody to make sure they are real estate agent before I'm not gonna
Well,
do it.
here's the other thing in this business. Again, it depends on how you're gonna run your business. I run my business where I'm out, and I think most of us have to be this way to some degree, is I'm out in the public, right? And I'm out, I'm knocking on doors, I'm interrupting people, I'm doing that stuff. So you have to have a thick skin. But I had that exact same thing happen to me, and I'm not gonna name any names, but it's an agent in this office, and it was her husband. And he went off on me. Like, you know, how dare you, what are you doing on this? Now, I skipped their house, but he saw me like 3 doors from their house. And I'm like, who the hell are you to tell me where I can work or not work? I mean, it was ridiculous. So I just ignored it. I mean, I thought he was completely out of line. But if someone is an agent, and I get that, I married Chris Caldwell. I knocked on the door like 3 years ago, and his girlfriend, wife, I'm not sure exactly what the relationship was, I know it's changed, answered the door and said, oh no, my husband, oh good, oh, what's his name? I don't know. Chris was like, he was here like 3 weeks or something. And then I said, oh, what's his name? I always ask, I'm a nice guy. She goes, oh, Chris. I said, oh, I know Chris, he's right down the hall from me. Oh yeah, good guy. Let's skip the house. I think they're just renting it there, I think. But yeah, that happens. But I'm telling you, 95, 98 people out of 100, they're nice people. Now, some are in a rush, some are answering the door, some do this. I get this a lot. Oh, I thought you were the UPS guy. You know, they thought a present was coming. You know, I always wear a name. I go out my name tag. I'll wear a KW ball cap if it's hot out, you know. The bottom line is I'm letting people know I'm out there working. I'm out saying hi. I'd say out of the people, those 20% that answer the door, I would say maybe not right at 50%, but very close. I'd say 8 or 9%, they thank me for stopping by. When I'm done with my little chit chat, hey, thanks for stopping by, I appreciate it. Very, very, very common.
Another follow-up question? Is
Sure.
that okay? I feel I'm the only one.
Well,
Sorry.
someone else raised their hand, they're all just sitting
Okay,
there kind of
so I was curious. You know, I don't see people doing that a lot, but I thought about doing it for one of the listings I saw. Anyhow, I was thinking about dropping by like some pop-by gift, you know, could be candy, could be something. Have you ever done anything like that? I was worried about
to the client that bought or to the surrounding neighbors?
the surrounding neighbors, only 100 some houses in that suburb.
I personally wouldn't give out candy or something. They might think like, I don't know. I'd be a little leery of that because it just sounds like weird, but you could give them something useful. But I think most importantly, most people, even when they're not in the, you know, not buying or selling, most people are still curious what happened with their neighbors.
Yeah.
So if you gave, even if you were representing the buyer, but if you made up your own little flyer or a postcard that gave some facts about the property, now that it's a closed sale, right? You can talk about that stuff.
As long as it's closed. You can
Yeah.
say,
And closed, I think we all can talk about it, actually. It doesn't even have to be a deal that you, yeah, now that I think about it, doesn't even have to be that Yoni could have sold it. Or Bob at Century 21 could have sold it.
As long as it's closed, you can go ahead and advertise the
Yeah.
address and the list of what it's sold price and everything. You just cannot leave, you have to put the disclaimer on your marketing materials that it's not necessarily the broker's listing
Right.
or
Yeah.
May have been sold by other brokers.
Yeah.
So
But most people want you, here's my thought. I should have brought, we're not doing my farming class, so I didn't do that. But, you know, I have these kind of big postcards. And basically on one side, I'm doing Ed's Competent, right? Sold, listed, whatever, here's a bunch I sold. And the other side's a commercial. It's me. I had 29 years in the business, 900 homes sold. I donate blood, you know, 5 or 6 things that make me a good guy, hopefully. And how to get a hold of me, that kind of thing. I honestly believe when that's on the doorstep and someone comes and, you know, they're this size and someone comes, picks it up, I'm pretty sure that 9 times, maybe 8.5 or 9 times out of 10, they're walking in to wherever their trash can is.
yeah.
It's going in the good old circular file we used to call it the Navy, right? That's why I like to put it at the door. Because when it's in the mail, I think the trash can sits right here, right? Is that, how many people do that with you? You go through the mail, I mean, I stand on the kitchen counter, I don't actually put it there, I go through and I make a pile. You know, when you're done, there's this much crap and there's 2 things you really needed, and then I grab it all and I throw it in recycling or in the trash. So if they're going through, like my house, I don't know, I probably average 12 pieces a day or something, right? On average, some are 20 pieces, some are 3 pieces, but probably 10 or 12 a day. You know, and if my real estate postcard's in there, unless they're really thinking about real estate at that moment, my belief, I don't really know what's true, but my belief is they're not paying any attention. So if they're going to see it, I want them to see Ed. That's all, Ed in real estate. That's all I'm trying to convey, right? Even my emails, I figured this out a few years ago. My emails now, if I send you an email, the little from line says Ed Ornstein Real Estate, all caps. Because I'm also believing that 90% of the people are just going to delete my, unless we're doing business. If it's just follow up, they're just going to delete it. But before they delete it, they're going to see who it's from. It's from Ed Ornstein Real Estate, not just Ed Ornstein. So anyway, that's my belief. They get the front door, they're going to take this. So you want something that they can glance at in their 12 to 30 steps they're going to walk, or feet they're going to walk before they find the trash can.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking about having something, not just a paper. Like for the listing I saw, I have a very nice brochure that I didn't finish using all of them. So I have enough to give to everybody.
Test it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't overthink it. We think, oh, it's got to be this, got to be beautiful. I told you a story with the lady with the little crap out there. The most important thing though is knock on the door. Don't go put it there, and I don't feel like knocking it. You're going down. I want to get it all done. No, knock on the door. Make a connection, and then if you make a connection, say, hey, can I keep in touch with you? What else? We got like 3 or 4 minutes left. She's gonna ask another question if you guys don't ask her.
No, I'm gonna shop. I feel bad.
I have a question. Okay, so I know we have a lot of scripts and different things different strategies on what you would say to people, but like for an example, you're gonna go make your 40 phone calls today of people that you already know.
Right.
Like, do you tailor it to each person, or like, what do you say? People you already know, like, give us your example.
Well, today's easy. I'm inviting people to a party, so I'm just going, hey, Bob, hope you guys. So I always bring up where we are in the year, right? So the summer just ended, right? Last Friday or the Friday before, officially. It's going to be like 89 this weekend. So I'm going to say, hey, Bob and Mary, wherever, if I'm leaving on home, so I'm talking to both of them. If I'm leaving on cell, I'm talking to one of them. I'm going to say, hey, I hope you guys had a great summer. If I know the kids' names, I'm going to bring up the kids' names. I want to do something that takes that relationship a little bit deeper. And then I'm going to say, hey, I just following up. I sent you guys out an invitation. I hope you can make it to my fiesta this Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun. I got a taco guy and a musician coming to play. Please let me know in the next couple of days. I got to do a head count for the taco guy. And that's it. But what I do, so I'm going to call now, and that's only a little less than a quarter of my database, right? Because I'm not inviting 1,000 people to my backyard. I'm inviting like 200. I mean, the numbers, like for me, it was actually 192. 30 of them will say yes, but 30 equals 60, right? Because there's couples and there'll be a couple kids. So if 30 people say yes, I'll end up with like 65 people at my house, which is just about right. And that's about what I suspect it'll be. In November, I'm going to start, because I do my 1,000 calls 3 times a year. I'm going to do it in November, and it's easy. Just calling to wish you guys a wonderful holiday season. Believe it or not, Thanksgiving's in 3 weeks, and the following week, believe it or not, Thanksgiving's in 2 weeks. And some people are going to be like, wow, can't believe it's already December, right? Because that call takes me a whole month. So some are going to be right before, some are going to be right after Thanksgiving, and I tailored it. I'm going to call those same people in late January, early February. That's really the only call, and this is just what I've decided. People will tell you different ways to go about it. I think if there's people that I'm trying to make a deeper relationship with, and they know, so everyone, here's the criteria. Every single person on that database, every single one gave me permission to put them on that database. So these are not cold people. These are not like I looked up names in Haynes directory and added them to my list, right? Every single person, if I'm calling them, they gave me their phone number. I honestly don't, and I wish I didn't do this. I don't know why people do that when they have no intention of ever using me because they're best friends of a real estate agent. But people don't like to say no. So lots of times they'll just go, yeah, sure, you can call me. I don't know why they do that, but they do that. So I call them apple pies, and then I call them before the holiday, and then I also call them after the holidays, like late January, February. And that one is just like, hey, I hope you had a great New Year's, hope the year's off to a great start. This year, and it'll vary. Sometimes I might say, hey, this year I've got a goal to help 50 families move in San Diego. I hope I can count on you. So please, when you run into someone looking to buy a home or sell a home anywhere in the county, right? I want to keep reminding them, I'm just, because I farm, I learned this lesson after it took me 10 years, trial and error. Remember trial and error I said at the beginning? It took me 10 years, I'd go on a farm, and it's like, I'm the best, I'm the best. You want me, if you're selling and you live here, I'm the best. You're a moron, you call anybody else, I'm the best. And then they move, and then that house, they hire someone else. And I go, why didn't you call me? Oh, well, you're in Walden. Well, I taught them that. So now I completely changed my script. And I'm door knocking. I go, yeah, I'm right here, but I'm all over the county. Like last year, I keep telling people, I go, last year I sold 3 homes in Oceanside. My best sales in Encinitas. I want them to visually start thinking San Diego County, right? If you tell them I sell over the county, another psychological thing I was taught years ago, makes sense to me, give them a visual description. So don't just say San Diego County. Say, oh yeah, I'm all over the county. I'm from Oceanside down to Chula Vista, out to Lakeside, up to San, because their brain's going to go picture Oceanside. Their brain is seeing this map as opposed to just saying San Diego County. That makes sense? I don't know. It made sense to me, so I started doing it. I have no idea if it helps or doesn't help, but it made sense. But I changed my whole script after I got burned, and I taught him that.
Yeah.
I taught him hire the local guy. Well, I'm not the local guy in Forest Ranch. I'm close, but I'm not really the local guy. I'm not out there every month doing my thing. All right, we hit 3:30. Is there anything else? I'll squeeze in one more if there's another one. Otherwise, I got 40 calls. Gary.
I really liked your door knocking script on what you said about the client appreciation list. Would you mind just saying that one more time?
Sure. So this is, again, I don't know who you guys know or don't know. Brian Buffini's a big trainer. Brian Buffini's right-hand man is, what's his name? Chicago. Joe Nigo. Joe Nigo. So this is Joe Nigo's. He calls this mayor campaign. So basically, the script goes, when you talk to someone, you say, Michaela, is that how you say it? Yeah. So if I met Michaela, and I thought, I'll give you my little thought process in a second of when it's appropriate to say it and when not. But if I felt it was appropriate to ask Michaela, I'd say something like, hey, Michaela, I enjoyed chatting with you. Let me just ask you, if you were buying a home, I'm not asking, are you buying a home? I'm saying if you were buying a home or selling a home, or maybe you had a family member that was, do you have someone you'd be referring them? No. Or you know what? Would you mind if I go ahead and put you on my, and I don't say database, that sounds kind of cold, put you on my client appreciation program. I'll keep in touch with you, and I'll give you a call a couple times a year. And what I say now is I do some fun stuff. I give away Julian apple pies the 4th of July, and I give away Christmas trees at Christmas, because I do that. You can't say that because you're probably not doing that, but if you wanted to do that. But I say, keep in touch. And most people are going to say, yeah. And then I go, great, what's the best, and I don't even look up. I go, what's the best number to get a hold of you? Great, and email. Not, can I have your phone number? Can I have your email? You need to give it to me. And once 1 out of 25 or 30 go, I really don't want any calls. I go, great, thanks for letting me know. I really don't want to call you if you don't want me calling you. How about an email? Why? Okay. And then, if they don't want to give me a phone number and they don't want to give me an email, then I'm going to go, well, did you really want me to put you on a list, or is this just visiting you at the door good? Because if I can't follow up, I haven't gained anything. They're on my mailing list, but they're already on my door knocking list, if that's where I met them. Now, if I met them at the baseball field, then although it's the lowest thing possible, an address is still someone I can mail to, right? And trust me, I've been I was door knocking one day, and I had this great conversation with this guy, and we're going on, and about real estate and this and that, and I'm like, great. And I asked, I got my sequence out. So I asked him about keeping in touch, putting him on my database. He goes, yeah, sure, why not? I said, good. And then I'm just about to walk away, and I go, oh, and I remembered my mayor campaign, because I had my sequence was off, and I just screwed it up. And I said, yeah, I forgot to ask you. So if you are a family, and he goes, oh yeah, my best friend's a real estate agent. I don't get it. He just got there and give me all his contact info, so I keep in touch with him, but his best friend's a real estate agent. And I said, oh, well, Wouldn't you use your best friend? Oh yeah, I'd have to. Okay, so I didn't put them on my list. But if you say it in the right sequence, but here's my little tip, and then I'll shut up and I gotta go. It kind of depends on where you are. As far as when you're gonna, Gary, to really, where you're gonna use that, right? Because I think if I just met you, let's say, I don't know, what's a good example? I don't know, I run into a friend at lunch and you're having lunch with that friend, right? And I'm like, oh, Mary, how you doing? He goes, oh, this is my friend, Michaela. Oh, hi, Michaela, how you doing? I'm not gonna do that script right there, right? But if we had a little bit more of a conversation and I thought, I may never see you again. In my brain, I try to teach my kid this too. I got a 17 and 19-year-old. If I think about this, if I don't get your contact info, so what? I don't have it right now. So in my mind, I'm already at a no, right? You're not calling me for real estate. You're not doing anything. You don't even know who I am. So if I ask you and you say no, nothing changed. You just say no, so what? But if I think I'm going to have an opportunity where it's a better opportunity, like when I'm door knocking. So when I'm door knocking, if you and I had a really good conversation, and that, to me, that's, you come out, you go, oh yeah, what's happening with real estate these days? Really? So do you mind coming in? Could you look at my kitchen? Do you think I should do this? And then, yeah, and you're kind of driving this train of real estate talk. I'm going for it. Because it's a good conversation. You're obviously thinking that there's something about me. Otherwise, why are you asking my advice? If you think I'm a schmuck, you're not going to ask my advice, right? So I'm just going to go for it and go, hey, you know what? I enjoyed this conversation. If you knew somebody, blah, 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 and you go, no, okay, we want to. But if you answer the door and you go, hey, and I call people by their name, I got a whole, ask me about farming, that's a whole other class. But if I do that and it's a very short conversation, and in my mind, I think, well, there's going to be other opportunities because I'm going to go back to that same door. If you're home this time, you're probably going to be home next time. Then I'm going to wait, because if you ask early and they say no, it's extremely odd to ask again. I've done it a couple times, but the relationship's really got to grow. That's the way I think. But if you're out and you got a one-time shot, I was at a party 18 months ago. A friend of mine plays in a band. He was playing up in Temecula. So my wife and his wife and like 3 other couples were all going to go up. He's up there getting ready for the band. The rest of us all went out to dinner at Carl Strauss up at Escondido, and worked out pretty good. But the wife just said, hey, why don't the girls all sit over here and the guys sit over there? And the guy I'm sitting next to, invariably people go, what do you do? What do you do? Oh, real estate. Oh, yeah, my brother's thinking of moving down here. Now, I hear that all the time, and it never ever happens. And I kind of take note of that, but I don't want to be too aggressive. I don't want to offend their friend, right? Some people get offended if you, oh, yeah, I met your friend. All I wanted to do was sell me a house, Guy across the thing asked some other real estate questions. So all of a sudden there's this real estate talk going around, and I'm chiming in just a little bit. I'm letting them talk because he was talking about his experience, and they had just bought a house, and da-da-da-da. And then I said, so then as we're getting up, I said something like, so you really think your brother might be moving down? He goes, yeah. I said, you know what? Would you mind if I just got your number and just kind of followed up with you? I didn't do the whole spiel because if I get his number, I can call him and do the spiel. But I also thought once we get to the bar, it's going to be noisy, right? And the guy goes, oh yeah, sure. I followed up with the guy, got his number, got the brother's info, and son of a gun, 6 weeks later, the brother came down and bought a $900,000 cash house. I was in Italy with my family. I had another agent here selling the house, and like that. And I had the whole thing planned out. They were supposed to come the week I got back, and the day before I left, the wife sent me a note and goes, hey, we changed our plans. We're flying down on Wednesday. And I'm like, busted, right? Because I had staggered it. So I'm back in town, and I just found a good agent to represent. I called the people back, and most people get it. Some don't, but I called them back because I don't have a BRE. I don't have anything yet because they're just a voice on the phone. They're up in Portland. Yeah, that was nice. But I had to ask that question, right? If I just let it go, nothing happens. And if he had said no, if he had said, nah, I'll call you. You get that line. Yeah, I can get your number from Brenda. Okay, so I'm still to no, right? So I had nothing to lose and everything to gain, and I gained a lot. It was huge.
So you had another agent. What did you have to give them a referral? Did they take most of it? How does it work?
I gave a referral, but if you start doing referrals, be smart about right? Like I didn't give her 25%. I won't get into it, but I mean, I said, look, here's what I got going on. I need you to go show them 4 houses. If you put a deal together, I'll give you this. And she was very happy. It was a win-win, but believe me, I got 90% of the money. Now, if it was like, I don't know this buyer from Adam, and you're going to be showing them all over town for a week, and if you can get them in a house, and then you run with the deal, then just give me a referral fee. You got to be careful of that. You can kind of get screwed or screw yourself inadvertently, and it happens. And some people are great. Yoni's covered my business for me a couple times, and and I buy him a nice dinner. So he goes, no, don't give me nothing, and I send him and his wife some dinner because I appreciate people stepping out. It's people's time, and they're taking away from their own business, so you got to be respectful.
So in that situation, like you had already showed him maybe online, like the 4 houses that he was interested in.
I hadn't done a damn thing because I literally was planning to deal with it when I got back in town.
Okay.
So I'm doing all that scramble you do before you leave the country for 10 days, right? That Yoni just went through. A lot of scrambling. And literally, luckily I hadn't left yet. That happens sometimes you're on vacation. But literally it's either the day or a day and a half before. Because I just coordinated the whole thing, and I forget what it was, but I had like a great reason of why they're going to wait. I think they're planning, and she didn't know, bless her heart, she didn't know I'm going on vacation because I was keeping it a secret. I always tell my clients, but there was no reason to tell someone that in that particular case. And she goes, hey, we decided to come a little early, so we're going to come down. I just talked to her the day before and said, why don't you do this? She said, yeah, that makes sense. We'll do that. And that night they talked about it, changed their mind. So so then I came completely clean with her. And she goes, oh, great. Go have a great vacation. That'll be great. And she was very happy with the agent. And I think she ended up but I didn't do anything. Because if I'm not going to be there, then I just put the other agent. And I said, okay, here's the deal. You got to send them this. You got to do that. And it's nice when that's a nice commission, right? On $900,000. So there's a little more money to play with, right? If it's a $250 sale, you're giving up a much more of a chunk just to pay for that person's time. The moral of the story, think. But when I get in my head, like when I go out and door knock, I change, and I haven't shut up, I should shut up. Are they supposed to be out at 3:30?
No, but you're gonna have to wrap it up, but we're enjoying you, but you're gonna have to
So
wrap it up.
my last thing, so I've been a door knocker, a farmer, right? I should say farming. Farming is different than door knocking, although you do door knocking at the farm, right? A door knocker can just be a guy grabs his business cards, drives wherever, and just starts knocking doors. Farmer, you keep going back to the same doors, right? You're trying to plant the seed. Smiling face, get my stuff. Smiling face, get my stuff. I'm confident I'm nice. I'm confident I'm nice. And then hopefully we have an interaction and you like me. One of my coaching calls years ago told me about someone down in Texas who said, gee, I figured out that I get she runs a lot of numbers. That I have an 8 times greater chance of doing business with them if I put them in a different database and keep in touch with them that way besides just the door knocking. And I thought, well, that makes sense. And I'm getting a little older, and some days it's, 3 weeks ago it was 105 out. So sometimes my calendar is not going to work, so I'm not going to go out when it's 105. So I started purposely, right? My goal that year went from, I was running about 400 people in my database, and I said, okay, I want to start getting all these people on my farm. How many of them I can get up to this other database, right? Because this other database, I'm going to now offer them the apple pies. I'm going to get their phone number. I'm going to get their email. I'm just going to increase the chances of me developing that relationship deeper. So now when I go out and door knock, I put the goal in my head. I'm going to go door knock. I'm going to hit about 90 to 100 homes in 2 hours. I'm going to meet about 18 to 20 people, and I want to get them on my database. So I have a goal of I want to add 3 people when I go out each time. Now the goal's tougher now because I've added most of the people that can be added, right? Because usually it's the same people that are home, right? It's usually the same. It'll be like 15 of the 20% will be the same people, and then you'll meet some people. I met someone the other day.
You go out at the same time every day?
No.
You go out?
Typically though, because I try to go in the morning, especially in the summer. You got to get out with some cloud cover and this and that. It does, if you want to be smart, you go Saturdays, you go evenings, you get different people home. That's a great point. I just don't like doing it because mentally I'm kind of run down by 3 in the afternoon as opposed to 9 o'clock. I'm getting up and going. But that's a good idea to vary it. But part of my goal was not only to find out if you're looking or you know somebody right now, but if we have a good conversation and it makes sense, and blah, 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 I'm going to ask you that thing. And now I'm going to graduate you up to my other database. So like the apple pie thing, I don't offer that to everybody in my farm. I offer it to everybody in my farm that raised their hand and said, I want to be on your database, and here's my phone number. Those people get offered an apple pie, and those people are going to get $30 gift certificate for a Christmas tree. So that's just my little shtick.
When you say have a good conversation, what's your how are you opening in your script, in your farm, to have your nice good conversation?
Have I met you before or not?
Let's say not.
Okay. So I never met
Why
you.
don't you guys role play? Real quick.
Sure.
Why not do that?
So I'm going to have you, first of all, it's funny, my coach helped me with this too. Never mind, I won't tell you what I used to do because who cares what I used to. So I've got your name. Now, is your name just Yoni or is there more to it? Is it long? Isn't it longer?
It's actually Jonathan President.
Okay. Right, so I'm going to fumble on your name, right? And I'm going to, and because I know I'm going to fumble, that helps a lot. I have a lot, I live in an area that's international, right? So there's a lot of names I really fumble on. So I'm going to kind of make light of it. Not your name, but the fact that I can't say your name. I'm going to
They say Jesney Family Trust.
you know, well, it's family trust. I'm just going to ask the name. But what I'm going for is I want to get your first name. So let's use Scott as an example because it's a little easier. Let's say it's Scott and Mary. I don't know. But you can role play and do Scott. Or I'm going to ask you. So do you go by? And you're probably going to go, no, I go by Yoni. Oh, is that like Y-O-N? Oh, okay. That's first four letters, right? The full thing. But I don't know that, so I'm going to stumble through, and you're going to go. But whenever I see somebody, even if I see William or Robert, I always ask, "Oh, do you go by William or do you like Bill?" About 50 good. You like David? You like Dave? You like Edward? Or you like Ed? Right? Because if I'm your friend, I want to call you by your name, the way you want it. So my script is going to be the very first time I'm a self-effacing guy. So if it's the very first time, but it's in my farm, that means you've been getting my stuff a long time. However long you've lived there, you've been getting my stuff, unless you've lived there more than like 15 years. So I'm going to go, I usually will say something like, Al, hey, Yoni, it's nice to finally meet you. I said, you get my stuff all the time on your doorstep. I'm letting you know, because maybe you don't know. Maybe your wife throws it out every time, right? Or your kid picks it up and throws it out. I'm going to say, you get my stuff on your doorstep all the time, but today I want to stop by and say hi to you. So I'm just here, how's everything going? And you're going to go, oh, good. And I'll go, what I do now, which is a good script, I'm offering to help you, but not necessarily real estate. I'll say, but I ask now. I used to not do it. Hey, do you know anybody looking? And again, it depends on what's on my postcard. This last one I did was coming soon. So I'm going, hey, I got this great new listing over at Carl Mountain Ranch. If you happen to know anybody looking to buy a home, kind of be a neighbor of yours, let me know. Do you know anybody right now? No. Okay. Is there anything I can do to help you guys? Now, most people think I'm talking real estate. And they'll go, no. I go, it doesn't have to be real estate. If you need a window washer or a carpet cleaner, I've been doing this a long time. I know some really good people. Oh, you do? I do need and I get a lot. I do need my windows washed. And I'll take the postcard back and I'll write on my own postcard, there's like a big white spot, and I'll write down the window washer's name and his phone number, right? So now I'm being more of service to them. So that's my new little hook. And in your case, that's a good example. So maybe for 10 years I've been knocking, 10 years you lived there, 10 years I never met you. I'm going to work a little harder to have a little better conversation so I can go right to my question. Because what are those 10 more years? I did that the other day and I kind of forgot, and I had a really good conversation with someone and I left, and by the time I got to the sidewalk, I kicked myself in the butt and I walked back and said, you know what, I apologize. I don't know why I didn't ask you this, but how about I do this? And the guy was like, oh, okay, sure. I don't mind a little egg on my face, but I'm going to go right into it and just say, let me ask you, because I'm going to ask you a real estate question. And then you're going to go, no, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. And I try to catch you. If they go, yeah, if I know anybody, I'll let them know about you. I say, yeah, you know what? When that does happen, if you could try to give me their name, you got to train them, right? Could you try to give me a call with their name and number to close the loop? I get referred dozens of times every year. I never hear from the people. They got a little piece of paper. You told them, and they go through the wash. They forget who they asked. They don't know. But I can call them and just close the loop. Oh yeah, that makes sense. And you're hoping it happens. Is that a good answer?
Gotta cut you off.
In the game. Be in the game.
Thank you.
Don't knock on my farm now.
Real lettuce? I live right up the street from you, so.
Yeah. You know my house now.
Yeah.
I locked myself out of my room. Give me the right home.
Okay,
All right, see ya.
thanks
Thank
again,
you.
really
Yeah,
appreciate
I'm
it.
just delaying making my calls, but I still gotta make them.
We only have a few minutes left. So what I want to do is just, first of all, what did you learn? Anything, something that you didn't know before that Ed shared? You heard it all before.
135.
The 135. That's the first time you heard it. Okay. 135.
I didn't quite write that down.
135, it's similar to the 411. Who said they're not familiar with the 135? It's in your playbook. Remember when you and I, one-on-one, 135. Those of you who've had one-on-ones with me, we've talked about the 135 and the 411. That helps you define your goals and the activities to get you to where you want to go. Anything else that Ed said that kind of stood out? Or,
Well, I like those two things. People have to like you and have to know your content.
yeah, and you got a very short time to get that impression, right? You've got much more better chance of them seeing your full value in front than on the phone. A phone, cold calling is a harder way to convince people. For some people, it's just a natural, they just got the flow. They get into it. Anything else that Ed said that kind of stuck out or you didn't know or hadn't considered before?
I like how he disqualifies people.
Yeah, we've had some other agents, they go about their business disqualifying. Who was real big about that? Sam, his whole objective is to disqualify his leads. Different way of looking and approaching business, right? Instead of getting caught up with a maybe and a might, which really fizzles out, really wasn't a lead, right? So he's very clear about that, as well as Ed.
And to me, it seemed like he's more focused on servicing someone in the best capacity he can instead of competing against another agent.
That's a great observation. Because when you get into, it is, as he said, it's very competitive out here. If you don't have your skills sharpened, and you don't really need to have a whole lot of skill set, just master it. And then it's all about just executing and doing the work, really. Right? Anything else?
Yeah,
Something you,
going along with that is the last story he was just telling about how he offers not just real estate, he window washer, another contract real estate.
Right.
That was a good one.
you never want to put down another agent. That really just reflects poorly on you. It's competitive out here. Remember, everybody and their mother and their sister and brother and their cousin has a real estate license. And just because someone's had their real estate license for a long time doesn't necessarily mean they utilize it. The average agent sells how many houses a year? 2 to 3, right? So I know you don't want to be the average agent. Okay, let's take a moment, and all of you brought personal notes to write Ed a little note or something about what you want to say, his contribution. Who needs notes? Who needs notes? Anybody? Who needs notes? Let's take 3 minutes and write Ed something. Anybody else need notes? They can just leave it with me. There you go. Anybody else need notes? Do the next part. James, I'm so sorry for reaching over you. That's really impolite. Anybody else need notes? Well, why wouldn't you write one? You enjoy it?
Oh,
Listen, they volunteer their time. They're not getting paid to come in here, to come and talk to you. Anybody else need a note? Oh, Ed? Just put down Ed. I'll make sure he gets in. Ed Ornstein.
Yeah.
I have to think twice. Ornstein. Let's take a few minutes on that.
Thank you.
When you finish with your note, if you'll pass it to the ends down here, just pass it on down, and that way I'll know to make sure to collect those. Yes. Good job. So how was Ignite? Pretty good stuff? Great stuff? I hope you took a lot from it and not only take away, but apply it to your own businesses. You've got a lot of information. Figure out your priorities and tackle one thing at a time, okay? Main thing, do not wait. This is not a business where you wanna wait, learn and earn. You wanna earn while you learn, right? Really easy to do. Like he said, he didn't have training, I didn't. You just went baptism by fire. You're gonna make mistakes, so fail forward. Everybody does, right? Finish with those little notes? One more minute or two. Make sure you get them right here, thank you. You have it down here. Pass it on back, okay? Miss Sarah, thank you. More? Okay, well, it has, everyone signed in, I hope, right? Now, the only way we could tell your attendance was that you signed in. Yes, sir. Oh, you did not. So, what we're going to do now is give you guys your certificate for completion of Ignite. First, we're going to acknowledge those that signed the sign-in sheet each and every time, 12, and they came with perfect attendance. Would you help me, Jonathan, and pass these out? And we'll start with our perfect attendance first, and you want to announce?
Richard Barno.
Hey, Richard. More perfect attendance coming.
Gary Colombo. I don't know how to say it last time. Ada. But how'd you know his voice got out? Lori Tran, good job. James. And Rebecca.
Okay, for the rest of our graduates, here we go.
Yeah, I was here every time though.
I have a sign-in sheet that did not have your name on it.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay, well.
But then I'll go ahead, I'll take your word for it, because I kept looking, I said, why isn't she on one of these sheets?
I didn't see it.
We'll go ahead and we'll acknowledge her as perfect attendance. Thank you for pointing that out, because that does affect your fee, right? Okay, here's the rest of our graduates.
Jonathan, come on. Riella.
I think I got everybody. Did everybody get their certificates? Yeah. Yeah,
I think we did. Thank you for bringing that to my point, McKenna. I do not want to take away your perfect attendance
Thank you for
whatsoever.
having me.
All right. Listen, you guys, there's a lot in your books. Don't just do the average thing and put it on the shelf. It's a wonderful book to go back to. It's wonderful resources, right? And remember, you have a lot of us, Jonathan, myself, the agents that came in here that took away from their own businesses to help you with your businesses. They're available to, make sure that you're courteous with their time. If you have questions, that's the culture here, and we want to maintain that. So you guys go out, prosper, make lots of money, okay?